Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello. Hello.
Hello, I'm still working on fixing my stuff here.
All right, I can hear you now.
There we go. It helps if I put my headphones on. So you just getting started?
Yeah. Only been on for less than 5 minutes. I'm going to see if I can do this today.
Your live stream?
You have to share the screen and see if I can bring up some videos.
Well, I can talk you through it if you need me to.
Well, NCR showed we were on a private live.
Oh, okay.
NCR kind of showed me, and you might have to refresh me.
Well, you just start with the share button and then follow the prompts.
Yeah.
You just got to remember to hit turn the audio on when you get to like the second or third screen.
Oh wow, there was a shooting. 5 dead. Or 15 dead.
Wow, where'd this happen at?
11 children.
Ooh.
Russia school shooting. Former student opened fire at the school. 4 others were killed. That's sad. Just with people. Hello, Grendel. Be proud. Okay. Well, looks like I can't do this today.
Well, you want me to try to help you walk you through it?
Well, I get to where it says share, and I mark the audio, and I click to share, and it won't. It don't do nothing.
Okay, let me see.
Like it's stuck.
Share, then share screen.
Yeah.
Then share screen again.
Mm-hmm.
Share audio.
Mm-hmm. And
Then you got to
right
hit the
over
share
to the
button
right
again.
it won't hit. It's stuck on
Oh
cancel.
yeah, it won't work on my end either.
Yeah, I wonder what that.
So it must be a problem with StreamYard right now.
It's gotta be because definitely not working. Because we can say here the most.
Okay, I got it to work. Figured out how I did it. See my screen's up there. I went to the share, and when you get to the one screen where you can't go any farther, pick edge, and then it will
pick what
or whatever. Okay, when you get to, I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen now. Get rid of that. Okay, you get the first one. You hit the share screen. Hit the share screen again. Hit the audio. Change it from entire screen to one of the other ones, and the share button should light up.
Nope.
No, it doesn't?
Nope.
Mine would only light up under Microsoft Edge. And then I picked one of them, and now I could share it.
I got entire screen, window, and Wave browser tab.
Okay. Pick Wave browser tab, and then it'll bring up it'll bring up other options, and then click on one of them, and then that should do it. That's how I got it to work.
It says select the tab to preview, but it won't do anything else.
Okay, well send me the link, and I'll bring it up for you. Whatever you want to put on there.
Well, I was just gonna go on YouTube and just play some funny animals and stuff.
Okay, well if you send me the link right here through the YouTube, I'll bring it up for you through my computer.
All right, let's see.
Or you can DM it to me on Discord, whatever way you want to do it.
Yeah. Okay, nothing is working. Let's see, let's go this way.
Did you want any more before I turn it off?
Give you anything. Can't bring nothing up.
I got your DM, so that was just you telling me you were going live at 5:30. Hello, Amanda J.
I can't bring anything. Hey, Amanda.
Well, I can go on YouTube and find a funny animal one for you. Would you like me to do that?
That's fine. That's fine. Sure, no problem, enemy.
Yeah, I got to strap my motorcycle down for the wind start picking up here. I'm in Ocala.
Florida?
Ocala, yeah. I'm north.
Okay.
I'm northeast of where NME's at.
You guys be safe.
Yeah, it's not supposed to hit till tomorrow, so I'm not going to worry about my bike right now.
Okay.
It sits out underneath a gazebo type thing in my front yard, knocking it over. But I can strap it with some straps to the gazebo thing, and then it won't be able to fall over.
That's good. What kind of bike you got?
It's a Yamaha V-Star 1100. I was a Harley rider for a long time, but I was paying full coverage insurance and a storage unit to keep my Harley in because I didn't want to just let it sitting out my yard and corrode like I do with the Yamaha. But I only paid $2,000 for the Yamaha. My Harley I bought it from my brother, so I was only the second owner. Had low mileage on it, and it was a nice bike. Had a pearl paint job on it and stuff, so I didn't want to tear it up. Matter of fact,
the 82 Honda Rebel, which was nice for me because it was low, because I'm only 5'2".
Do you know Dutch Doyle?
Yeah.
He's that's what he rides.
Really?
Yep. I always make fun of him for it.
Then I picked up a 53 BMW.
Oh, there you go.
I just had to get find the headlight for it. Paid $1,000.
That's a picture of my last Harley there in my avatar now.
Nice.
It was a one owner bike. I put a few bucks into it.
Cool.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, the bike I have now, the Yamaha, it rides so much nicer. And I've only had Harleys. I bought a Kawasaki to get a little bit more experience on the street, and let's see if that came up. Oh, that's a wonderful picture. I was trying to put a picture of the Yamaha up.
Mm-hmm. I don't have pictures of my guns, no pictures of nothing that I had before.
That's about the best I can do. I can't get the whole bike in the picture. If you're not a Harley rider, you'd think it was a Harley with the bags on it and stuff. You can't see that it's a shaft drive bike. So I'll tell you what, it's a very comfortable ride, very comfortable. Yeah. I got a single seat on it now because that aftermarket seat that came on it when I bought it was just uncomfortable. I ride out to Daytona Beach twice a year. That's about 100 miles from here to go to bike festivals and stuff. But other than that, I have a favorite biker bar that's about 40 miles away from here out towards the Gulf Coast.
Cool.
Yeah, I just ride it, but there's a few places around out here. I love Florida. You can ride pretty much all year round. I've only one time gone to Daytona Beach, even between all the different times I've ridden out there. Only one time I've ever ridden out there and ridden back when it didn't start pouring down rain on me. And the one time that it didn't rain, I was having a sunstroke on the way back. And I barely made it to a town out in the boonies and parked it in a gas station. And luckily, the other people I rode with were behind me, and I flagged them down. And I says, hey, I told my buddy, I says, can you keep going home and come back with your truck and trailer? I don't think I can ride this thing home. And he said, what's the matter? I says, I thought I was just cramping up real bad from arthritis, because I'm old. And when they were gone, that's when I realized I was having a sunstroke. It's like, now I know what's wrong with me. It wasn't too bad. It didn't have any long-lasting effects. Last time I had one before this, it was worse. Paramedics had to come to the job and everything. But I couldn't do anything for like 3 weeks after that. Flopping on the ground in the fetal position. That's how bad it got. It was 120 degrees outside and humid. And I'd been drinking water, but I didn't do any salt. And after a while, it doesn't matter how much water you drink. If you don't got no salt in your body, you won't sweat anymore. And I went to go swing my hammer, and when my hands started quivering, I fell off the ladder I was on, and I started just flopping. So that's when they called paramedics to come get me.
Cool.
I could have sued the shit out of that company too. But I didn't even go to the hospital because I didn't have any insurance, and I didn't realize that since it happened on the job, they'd have to cover it through workman's comp. It happened in California when I was living up in Lancaster, and I didn't realize workman's comp would have had to pay for the whole thing. I would have been getting paid while I was out of work and everything.
That's cool.
Another job I worked on when I was a carpenter, I ended up getting 130 stitches in my hand, and it was the contractor's fault because these idiots that he hired for laborers stacked some wood on the side of this house I was working on, and it fell on me, and it went into my tips of my fingers and ran out my knuckles, and it just ripped my fingers open where you could see the bones in my hand. Wow. And I did get the workman's comp number to go to the hospital so they could pay for the all the stitches and everything. And I never went back to the job site. And like the next year, I was working at another job for the same contractor, and I had gone from just doing tract housing to building one house at a time. Yeah. And I was working with this other guy, and he was teaching me more stuff than I already knew, so I could start doing that kind of stuff on my own instead of just doing tract houses. Yeah. And when he introduced me to the contractor, the guy goes, "Hey, I got something for you." I said, "You do?" And he walks out to his truck, and he comes back and he hands me a check for $3,000. He says, "Yeah, I've been looking for you. A lot of people know you, but they don't know where you live." And he said, "When you had that accident on my job site, on that job I was doing," he goes, "I'm just glad you didn't sue me." He goes, "But I've had this check, for like 6 months and was sitting in my truck." He goes, "If you have any problem cashing it, just give me his phone number and call me up. I'll write you another check." I said, "Oh, thanks, man. That's cool." Yeah, this job I was working on, it was like it was, how would you say, cursed. Because 2 days before when the wood fell on me, these carpenters that got fired off the job, we took over one of a house they were building, and they had buried a piece of wood along the outside of the house, where the house bolts down. And I was going along putting the bolts on the house, and I stepped on this board that they buried, and it had like 10 nails sticking out of it, and it stuck in my foot, and I ended up falling over, and when I went to go kick it out of my foot, it came off my foot, and I almost sat on it. But I just had to get a tetanus shot and take a couple days off till the pain went away.
Oh, yeah.
But then 2 days later, I ended up having that accident I had, and I never went back to that job because it took. I didn't go back to work for like a month because having my hand stitched up and the way that they had it bandaged up, I couldn't move my hand, and so I lost use of my hand partially for a little while till I got back to using it again. And while I was off, the very same unit I was working in, one of the laborers was going to walk into the house, and he heard a cracking sound. And when he looked up, a whole lift of plywood was sitting on the roof to sheet the roof, and it fell off. It fell off, and he ducked, but one sheet hit him right in the forehead.
Wow!
Knocked him out, cut his forehead open. He said it was like that one unit was just cursed.
I remember in Las Vegas working being a security guard, and I had to work. Most of my jobs were night shifts because I like the night.
Oh yeah.
And I was at a apartment complex that they were building, and I had to go there while everybody left. I had to stay there and walk around, make sure no loiters.
Right.
And I had to check all the doors. I went up one set of stairs, checked the door was locked. I was coming down, and the temporary stairs, and I went down with it.
Oh.
And I was stuck. I couldn't do nothing but a radio. I had a real problem with north, south, east, and west. And I'm trying to tell them over my radio where I am. And they said, "Are you north?" I said, "I don't know north. I don't know."
Yeah, my sister-in-law is terrible with directions too.
Took them once they got to the apartment complex, it took them about 45 minutes to find me, to be able to tell them. But that was pretty wild. My legs got all bent underneath the stairs. They're terrible.
Yeah, that would suck.
It did.
It's a good thing you had that radio, or you might have been stuck there for all night. People can get stuck in weird positions, and like I just saw a video the other day where this guy was in the back of like a minivan or whatever, and he wasn't like badly injured or anything, but he was stuck and he was upside down, and from all the blood flowing to his head, I think it eventually killed him.
Wow. Well, I didn't break anything, but I ended up in a wheelchair for a while. And then I had to do physical therapy, and I got everything back. But I went from a wheelchair to a walker to a cane to be able to walk regular. It took a long time.
I broke my neck in a car wreck. I mean, not like, severed my spine or anything like that. I mean, I broke I fractured my neck, you know, and at first, you know, I kept going to the doctor, and they were like, "Oh, you have degenerative disc disease, or you have a herniated disc, or whatever like that." And finally, you know, it's like, you know, this ain't working out. And then finally, somebody did a little more research on it and stuff, and had MRI, or whatever that was done, and they said, "Oh, you actually have a fractured neck." And when I was going through physical therapy for that, the only thing that was bad about it was I was going to a county hospital, and my physical therapy was 8:00 Monday morning, and I would have to park like 2 miles away from where I was going for my physical therapy. And I could get through the physical therapy sessions, but then trying to walk that 2 miles back to my vehicle to go home, well, that was always a bitch. But eventually it took effect, and I got back to where I could walk normal and everything again.
Yeah. Been in a couple car wrecks. One of them had a Honda CRX, and my daughter with me. She was only like 2 or 3, and I was driving on the road, and she had just woke up, and I looked over at her. I said, "Hi, how you doing?" When I looked back up, I was going through the middle median, flew over the other side, and landed. That was terrible.
Yeah. I've been in some really horrible accidents and not even gotten a scratch on me.
Well, I didn't hurt myself in that one. My daughter had a little bump on her head, but she was all right. And car was totaled though. And
yeah,
then go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You were talking first.
I said, and then husband, gosh, a while ago, I can't remember how many years. It was here. Me and my daughter was going to get our nails done. A drunk driver rear-ended us, and he decided he was going to take off. Well, the Honda dealership that was to the left of me got in their cars. There's a couple of them, and chased them down and blocked them till the police got to him. He had a 3-year-old girl in the cab with him, standing. She was just free. No seat belt, no car seat, no nothing. And he was drunk off his butt.
Oh, yeah. And he probably didn't even get hurt at all.
No, he didn't.
Yeah,
my daughter hurt her neck. So they took her by ambulance. And I was okay. Got everything all cleared up, and I was still able to drive the car, even though the trunk and everything was really screwed up. Got to the hospital to see where she was. Walked in, and it hit me. My whole back, neck, everything just stiff. So,
yeah, I'm kind of surprised from a rear end accident that they didn't. They probably tried to talk you into taking the ambulance, didn't they?
Yeah.
But you were like, "Oh, I feel fine."
Mm-hmm, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the accident where I broke my neck, we were making a right-hand turn, and there was a girl walking, and I was checking her out, and my buddy goes to make the right-hand turn. It was he stopped, and the light was still red, but he went to go, and the van that was in front of us, somebody ran across in front of him, cutting across the, to go over to the crosswalk, because the light was getting ready to change, so they wanted to cut over across the street real fast. So he slammed on his brakes, and my buddy that was driving, he wasn't paying any attention, and he slammed into the back of him. So I was sitting sideways, so my neck snapped over to the side. And then I started having all these medical problems. And like I said, finally I went to the county hospital for like the third time. And it was actually when they decided to send me to physical therapy, the physical therapist was the one that says, you got a huge, like, bulging part of your neck right here. She goes, you know, what they're telling me is wrong with you doesn't even sound right. She goes, you need to go back up there and tell them that you think that it's, she goes, now you got to be careful what you say, and don't tell them that I told you I'm not a doctor, I'm a physical therapist, but I think that there's something wrong with your neck. And so luckily the nurse practitioner or whatever it was that saw me said, okay, well, we'll take a look at your neck. And as soon as she reached around and touched my neck, she goes, oh, it is your neck. You got a big old huge bulge right there on your neck. And then she sent me for a couple other things. And goes, yeah, you got a fracture in your neck. That's what's wrong with you. Wow. I said it already started to heal and everything. So there wasn't really a lot they could do for me, but just put me through physical therapy. Because it was just a fracture, not like a complete break, you know?
Yeah. When I fell 300 feet down that mountain, I didn't break anything. I just lacerated my liver and bruised my kidneys real bad.
Where'd you say that happened at?
I think it's was either I think it was the San Gabriel Mountains.
Oh.
I think that's where it was. God, that was when I was 17, 16, 15, I'm sorry, 15. So that was a long time ago.
I'm not sure if that's considered San Gabriel Mountains where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know where Angeles Forest Highway is, I'm sure, since you're from Southern California. Takes you from like let's see, La Crescenta, Pasadena area up to like where Mountain High and all that stuff is.
Yeah, it should be in that area right there because Pasadena was where the church was. So,
okay, well, you get up there so far, then you have Angeles. That's Angeles Crest. And then you got Angeles Forest Highway, which takes you up to Palmdale. Well, I was up there by a place called Hidden Springs. And I fell off of a cliff, but it wasn't that far. But I landed on my head, and I fractured my skull. And then I went to the emergency room and I lied about my name and everything. And after they told me that I'd fractured my skull and I needed to do this and that, I snuck out of the hospital because I didn't want to get caught. So I just dealt with it. I don't think it had any permanent repercussions. I was pretty screwed up for a while after it happened, but
well, the things we did when we were young.
Yeah, I was always worried that I was going to get to a certain age and they were going to say, oh, by the way, you got a brain tumor from when you landed on your head when you fell off that waterfall. Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that would suck falling down the side of a mountain like that. You told me that story here a while back. That was...
Yeah. It was unreal.
Yeah, I saw a video where some guys were mountain biking and this guy got too close to the edge of it was a steep incline and he fell down it, but he got lucky because he just landed in some trees not too much farther down from there.
Cool.
Anybody else gonna come up?
No, I put the link out there. I thought Logan would be here. He usually is. Oh, there we go. Hello, guy. How you doing?
Hello. How's it going?
I'll have to sit up.
Pretty good.
Yes.
It's ham
I'm
banana.
nearsighted, and I'm laying with my back on my futon. It's almost impossible to get up, but I'm gonna have to get up to see who that is.
That's your puppy in your picture?
Yeah. Old puppy. What are you guys talking about?
Just
whatever. Yeah. Hand banana. I don't think I'm familiar with you.
Oh, he's cool.
I know Tawny from Proud American 1984's website. I mean, whatever, Discord pages.
Oh, I just saw you guys were live, and I was like, I'm gonna hop in here.
Oh.
Not too familiar with either of your channels very much.
I do live streams like Tawny does every once in a while, but she actually makes videos. I don't.
Oh, nice.
I just shoot the shit. That's all I ever do.
Yeah, that's why I popped in.
Yeah. Some people know me by the name Gator too. I used to do a lot of live streams with my alter ego Gator. That was my avatar. That's Gator from what's it was called? The Other Guys.
Oh, I've never seen it. Like the anti-hero guys?
It's Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
Oh,
no,
right.
They're cops, but they ride the desk all the time. And I think it's Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock are like these super detective dudes. And eventually they do one stunt too many, and they jump off the roof of a building, and they say, "Oh, try to land on the trees." And they end up, next thing you know, they end up there at the funeral services. But they're these two cops that just ride a desk, and Will Ferrell's like really super. But then he goes into this thing like when he was in college, he was a pimp, and he called himself Gator. He goes into this whole story about Gator don't take no shit. Will Ferrell's kind of hit and miss for me as far as his comedy goes.
Yeah, same.
I thought he was hilarious on Saturday Night Live, but some of his movies he's just like annoying.
Like Alf or something.
Yeah, I didn't care too much for that.
The one where he's a race car driver is funny as hell.
Yeah, the Ricky Bobby.
Oh,
yeah, that's definitely a good one. Well, if you haven't seen The Other Guys, it's one of his better ones.
Wait, which one?
It's called The Other Guys.
Oh yeah,
it's got Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. Yeah, I don't like the one where he's the frat boy. I mean, he's like 40 years old and he's supposed to be a frat boy or whatever. Those ones are kind of I like Night at the Roxbury. A lot of people don't like that one, but I thought
was the first.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious.
I was raised on that thing, like just watching that on VHS.
It was to me that skit was sort of like I'm probably a bit older than you are. I'm in my 60s, so yeah, I'm a lot older than most people on here. But
yeah, like almost twice my age, I'm guessing.
Yeah, back in the early days of Saturday Night Live, Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd used to do these. They were supposed to be like Russians or something, but they were the Wild and Crazy Guys. And that skit of the Night at the Roxbury thing is sort of like an update of that. They were like these two guys that were all, "Hey, show us your huge American breasts." They were just a couple of
when I get over 1,000, I can live stream. That's gonna be me.
Yeah, they were just a couple like, foreign dork dudes that thought they were cool back in the disco days. But it was hilarious. That was back before that shit got all political and stuff, where it's like you can't watch it without getting pissed off.
I like that one bit with that guy. He's like, "Hey, you just grabbed my ass."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a good one.
Yeah, that was a good movie. There's another one they made. Who was it? Will Ferrell and someone else made one where they're like their parents get married or something, but they're both adult kids.
That was his. That was the same guy, his sidekick from Ricky Bobby one. Talladega Nights was the name of that movie.
Yeah, it was Step Brothers, right? Was it Step
Yeah.
Brothers? The one that boats and hoes.
Yeah, that other actor that's in that, I think his name's something Riley. He's kind of hit and miss too. He can be funny, like in Ricky Bobby, he was hilarious. I don't think I've ever seen Step Brother all the way through, but he did this other one where he was like, it was sort of a parody of the Johnny Cash movie. It was called Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story or something like that. And I didn't care too much for that one. I didn't think it was all that funny.
Yeah, I never watched it. I know what you're talking about. I remember the name.
Yeah, it's sort of like a parody of. I think it's supposed to be a sort of a parody of the what the hell was that? Walk the Line. You know, I thought that was kind of sad. They went so far out of their way to make Johnny Cash look like he was nothing but a drug addict. You know, which if you've ever seen the Doors movie. Now, I've heard that, you know, Jim Morrison was kind of out there dude, but I know he also had, I've heard interviews where you know, he was sober and, you know, he was very intelligent. You know, he sounded like he was very intelligent and he was, you know, real lucid. He wasn't just some out there dude that was just whacked out all the time.
Yeah, just because you get high in private doesn't mean you're always high, you know, like, or.
Well, I mean, that was kind of his reputation.
Yeah.
But
kind of like the guy from Nirvana, where it's like, "Are you high today? You're right? Hey, can we interview you today?"
You know, if you listen to Nirvana's music, it doesn't really wouldn't really amaze you to find out that he killed himself with a gun. He sang a lot of songs.
Literally had a song titled "I Hate Myself and Want to Die."
Yeah. Yeah, I never really got that scene. You know, the manic depressive.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously it goes down a very bad road.
Of course, if I was married to Courtney Love, I probably would be manic depressive too.
If I was married to Courtney Love, I would have shot her with the shotgun.
Yeah, she was a shit disturber for sure. And you know, the other guys from Nirvana tried to kind of make peace with her after, you know, Kurt Cobain killed himself and everything. And you know, a lot of people think, oh, he was murdered, he was this, he was that. But those two guys, you know, Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic or whatever. I don't know if that's how you pronounce the name for sure, but they were convinced that he killed himself, and they knew him better than all the other people that would have their conspiracy theories and stuff. And if they believe he killed himself, they knew him a lot better than I did, so I'll take their word for it. Plus, they found that note that he wrote about what a bitch she was, and that's why he was killing himself. So,
right? Like, there was a lot of, like, red flags just throughout his life, and people were just like, oh, he's just an artist. And I was like, okay, but artists usually tend to, you know, give you stuff straight from their heart. You know, so be like, hey, I hate myself, I want to die, you guys. I'm in constant pain all the time. And then people would be like, oh, that's a good song. Great. This is like... have you ever seen Rick and Morty, the cartoon?
Oh, my brother watches it, yeah.
There's a bit where the old man Morty he's in a vat in the garage and he's dying, but there's a little Morty that's showing himself to all the people and he's singing a song. He's like, I'm in a vat of acid in the garage, I'm dying. And everybody's like, yeah, this song's awesome. This is like, it's funny because it's so true. That's how it is in real life.
That death photo of Logan said something. That death photo of Kurt Cobain is totally fake. That's not really. if you look at it close, the rug that the guy's laying on changes shape.
Oh, does it? Like the
There's
the
no,
shotgun
there
photo
is no.
afterward?
Yeah, the only pictures of him doesn't show hardly anything that was released by the coroner or everything.
Yeah.
Those other ones are supposed. What I understand, they're fakes.
I wish we still had Rotten.com.
Yeah, that was that they don't have. That's not around anymore. That was
Nah,
that was
when
some
Biden came in, he started kind of getting that stuff off the internet. He was like, we don't want to show people dying and very
What was
gruesome shit.
what was that other one that Live Leak?
Yeah, Live Leak.
Oh,
They got rid of that too. They had it.
I saw something horrible on that one time. It messed with me for a while. It was a child had fallen down on the railroad tracks, and instead of trying to grab it, everybody was too busy videotaping it.
Wow.
And the kid was the train's going by, and the kid's crawling around there, and it's like, oh man, I hope this doesn't end bad. And then right then, the kid crawls in front of the train wheel. It's like, oh no! I turned it off as quick as I could, but it still scarred me for life.
Let's see. What was the worst thing I seen? Well, the most recent thing I seen on one of those was a guy. He was in like Afghanistan or something. He deserted their army basically, and they tracked him down and beat him to death with sledgehammers. But the thing was, they didn't beat him to death right away. He tried to block them, and they were swinging at his arms. They were swinging at his legs. He'll put his hand up. They would just hit it with a sledgehammer. It would go limp. This was like skin flappy everywhere. It was bad. And then they started beating him to death with the sledgehammers.
Well, I didn't see it happen, but I was coming home from a keg party one night, and we used to live way out in the desert. And I get out to this intersection way out in the desert where, ain't nobody going to drive by there for the rest of the night, most likely. And it was a four-way stop, and obviously both of these cars had failed to stop. And this was back in the 70s when everybody didn't have, seat belts and all that stuff.
Yeah, those big metal cars too.
Yeah. These automobiles, and there was 4 people dead, and they were all laying on the hoods of their cars where only their feet were keeping them still. That was the only part of them that was inside of the car. They'd gone through their windshield. They were all dead. There wasn't anything I could do for them. There was no cell phones or anything back in those days, and I lived a couple miles from there, so I just drove home, called the police, and says, hey, you need to send some cars out to this. There's been a tragic accident out there. It looks like these cars, they both ran the four-way stop and hit each other. And I said, there's 4 dead people out there. Well, will you go back to the scene of the accident, to the thing? And I says, no, I'm not going to do that. And it's like, well, why not? It's kind of gruesome. He goes, why don't you tell the real truth? You're drunk. And I says, okay, I'm drunk. I hung up the phone. I'm going to go back out there and get arrested.
I mean, like, I'm not going out there either way.
I didn't cause the accident. I'm just reporting it.
I'd be like, motherfucker, I'm on your team, you guys. Never mind.
Yeah,
Pretend to go.
Of course, they did call me back like 2 minutes later, and they says, you do know when you call 911, it gives your phone number. I said, I'm still not going back out there.
Yeah, I would be like, dude, that's your job.
There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do for those people. I said, I didn't witness the accident. There's nothing I can tell you other than I came across it. There's 4 dead people out there, and you need to go do something about it.
Right? I'll be like, here, you guys come to me after you're done with that. Like, or you call me, or you drive out here. I'm not going over there.
It actually led to I actually left town for a while. I moved back down to the San Fernando Valley from where I was living. Just to get away from the sheriff's department because they were out to get me.
Oh, you mean they were out to get you? You were like, oh, they're gonna pin some money?
I didn't know what they were mad because I wouldn't go back out there. They said that they knew what kind of car I drove and that they were going to be waiting for me and all this other stuff. So I moved back down to the San Fernando Valley where I was from for a while just to get away from them. Oh. Is he waving at us? He's going, I don't really want to be on camera.
Oh, he's mad at me.
Oh, what kind of dog is he?
He's a Chihuahua.
Oh, he looks big.
Yeah, he's big compared to my Chihuahua.
He's a bigger Chihuahua. Yeah, well, he's back up to 15 pounds. I gotta take a couple pounds off of him.
He's too big. Ah, he's a big old chunky.
Yeah, I got this guy here. This is my dog. He only weighs like 5 pounds. That's Rocky. He's got an attitude though. He thinks he's a big dog. And there's another dog here at the house that I call her my granddaughter because she was a pup of the Chihuahua I used to have. She's a little bit bigger. She probably weighs a good 10 pounds or so. She's a bigger size Chihuahua. Rocky's just a little bitty guy. But he's got the worst attitude of anybody in this house. We have some house guests that have been staying here for about 6 months, and he will sit on their laps, but if they try to pet him, he growls at them.
Hey,
Logan.
Hey, Logan.
Hey, everybody. What's up?
Just bullshitting.
Talking dogs.
We're getting ready for a heat wave again here. So it's going to get warm tomorrow.
Where are you at?
Southern California.
Oh, nice. I'm in Arizona.
It's supposed to get hot because of that high pressure system that's over basically us, California, Arizona, New Mexico. Yeah, it's going to get warm this week.
Arizona and banana.
I'm sorry, say it again.
And banana in Arizona.
It's breaking up.
She was asking you if you're in Arizona.
Oh, I think my connection's breaking. Lane, pop out and pop back in real quick.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I'm on hurricane watch, so I live in Central Florida, so all I'm going to do is strap my motorcycle down to the, I think it's called a pergola, the thing I leave it parked underneath. I'll just strap it to there so the wind doesn't knock it over. Even if it does, I've knocked it over by accident before and it didn't even scratch it.
Okay. I better
get
yelled at.
I didn't realize how humid it was in the area where you live until I moved to the high desert, and then I would come back to that area to visit my buddies and shit. And it's like, man, I would just be dripping with sweat. It's like I'd never realized how humid it was down in the LA basin. I know that's not exactly where you live, but
close enough.
It's just a lot more humid in the LA basin, and I grew up there. But I never realized how humid it was till I moved out to the desert when it was dry.
It can get humid here, for sure.
Yep.
We're 35 miles away from the beach?
Yep. When I was a kid, it actually snowed there one year, like 73, I think it was, 72, 73.
It did it again in 2000. It stuck for 5 minutes.
Yeah. It was back in 72, 73, it was actually like half a day. But over by the Knolls, where I lived, yeah, we got a pretty good dusting.
I was over off of Tapo in 72, 73.
Oh, okay.
You remember the original Taco Bell?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
That's an upholstery shop now.
Yeah. It's by Grandma Brisby's or whatever.
Bottle Village.
Yeah. Yeah, I was still driving a truck up till 2006, and part of my route was through Simi Valley, so I'm aware of some of the changes of Simi.
Yeah.
I would.
Is a historical landmark now.
Yeah. If you were living there then, do you remember where that rock castle was down the road from there? It's a church there now, but it was like a rock castle. My parents almost bought that one time, but they figured it was going to cost so much money to insulate it and everything to make it livable inside. It wasn't worth it.
Doesn't ring a bell.
It's between Stearns and Tappo on Cochrane. I think that's Cochrane. What is the street there? One street just below the freeway.
That's Cochrane.
Johnny.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's where it was.
I'm pretty sure that one's Johnny Street.
Johnny Street. Okay. Well, actually, there is another street up there.
It was my bad attempt at a joke.
Yeah, because there was another house my parents looked at that was actually one street just north of the freeway or one street just south. That dead ended right before it got to Tappo. I forget what the hell street that is. If I looked on a map, I could figure it out. I think it was one street north of the freeway because I think the freeway would have been behind our house.
The only rock castle that I could think of is at Stearns and Cochrane, and it's not a castle. They brought in these big ass rocks to go around the corner of the house because it's Cochrane.
Yeah, that's
two main streets.
Yeah, that's approximately where the area is. I've looked on the map to see if I could find it. I couldn't find it anymore.
Yeah, it's on the southwest corner of Stearns and Cochrane.
I wonder if that was the some of the whenever they tore that down or whatever, because actually one of those churches in there, it actually says something about what was there before, something a castle or some crap. I don't know.
I know there's a bunch of churches up on Alamo, but as religious as I am, that's about all I can tell you about them.
Well, let me bring up a map of Seaman, and I can tell you what the street is and everything, approximately where it is.
It's raining. It's pouring. Frauditors.
I wish I would have been a Manson file whenever I lived there, because I would have sworn up. I know everything about that crap now, and I didn't. It didn't fascinate me back then.
My mom would have beat my ass if I went out.
Remember back? You ever remember back in the 70s, whenever you still had some of those, wannabe Manson people that would hang around Simi Valley and scare little kids?
Yeah.
When I was in high school, we used to find out when they was doing stuff like that. Like they came to the big city park over there on Erringer. A bunch of them was over there trying to scare little kids, and a bunch of us teenagers.
I remember when they made that park.
Yeah, I have a nephew that's actually buried in that little cemetery right there next to it. Yeah, Cochrane and Stearns. What's called the Phoenix Ranch School. I think that's where that castle was. Let me see if I can find that. Let me see if I can find that here on the map.
Now you got me interested.
Oh, hey, I'm in the show.
You're from Arizona.
I should probably say hello. Hi, Tammy.
I'm from Arizona. Hi.
Hey, Southern Rock. What's up, ham banana?
My ham banana.
Oh, you're from Arizona too? Cool.
Yeah, I'm in Arizona.
Nice.
I know you are, dude.
Okay, these rocks here, I wouldn't doubt these rocks were the remnants of that castle thing.
Okay.
I see it on there now. I wouldn't doubt these are remnants. That castle thing was just west of there. Let's see, where am I looking here? That's Stearns. There's a school there. Yeah, all those rocks, those gotta be the leftovers. I never even noticed those before. Those gotta be what's left of that after they tore that rock house down there. But that rock house was just a little bit farther up the road here, where one of these schools are and stuff, or one of these big churches. I went to one of these churches for a while. I think it was called Grace Baptist Church or something.
Hello, Terry.
Hello, everybody. How we all doing today?
Hey, Terry.
Real good.
I don't have a whole lot of time, but I wanted to pop up for a quick minute. I don't know how many of you know about the weekend that we had here locally. I just want to let you all know it was absolutely awesome to have this experience.
Cool. Yeah.
Were you there at that fight thing?
Yes, that, and getting to meet all of the YouTubers that converged here on Ironton. I felt really honored. I got to sit with the likes of Irish Demon, you know, as he experienced America and experienced a lot of firsts. And it was really fun to get to meet all these people from all these different sides and walks. You know, I'm an auditor. I don't get a whole lot of support from the auditor community. But I sat down and had a meal and drinks with police officers, with other auditors, with people who hate auditors, with people who do reaction videos. We all got to sit down and find out that we're all just human and we agree on a lot more than we thought. We have a lot of common ground. It was a great time. We all had a wonderful time.
I wish I could have been there.
Yeah,
I sure wish more would have showed up, because I think everybody would have been surprised. But I don't think that it was the last time that we all converged somewhere. You know, I think we're all going to do it again. I think the groups will get bigger as we go.
I hope so.
Mark, the sarcastic law student, was doing a live, and he kept going over there and watching it and everything.
Well, I know we were having a great time before and after, you know. So it was just an awesome time. It's so. I think probably all of us are still riding that fun a little bit. You know, we're going to be riding the crest of this wave for a few days. You know, because each one of us, we all got to sit around, swap stories, and have a good time. And I can tell you, a lot of people, because they don't know me personally, they only know me, you know, through this YouTube channel. When they first meet me, they have a tendency to treat me like I'm a celebrity or something, you know. And I'm absolutely none of that. I'm completely unworthy of that status and some of the great things that people say about me. I'm just an old hillbilly, you know. And to get off camera with huge stars like Irish Demon and find out he's exactly the same either way too was just really cool. You know, it was just such a humbling weekend, you know, to meet people like that and find out that he is exactly the same as I am. He's the same on camera as he is off. It's not really an act. I just met some really genuine people, him and JL and Colin and, you know, and all these people that came in. It was just amazing. It was a great time.
Cool.
The nice thing is I know all of those names. I recognize every single one of them.
Right. So, you know, it's a whole community. Unfortunately, the gentleman that brought us all together, that was not his intention, but because of his silliness and deceitfulness, he has united so many different YouTube communities together. You know what I mean? And finally, everything that I stand for, the whole United We Stand idea, people are realizing that we'll find common ground always, things that we can agree on. Those things that we disagree on, instead of being angry at each other because we haven't convinced each other of what we believe, we can agree to disagree on certain topics, so that for the things that matter, we can stand shoulder to shoulder and hand in hand. That's the way it's supposed to be. We the people united.
And that individual that you're talking about, this may be his greatest accomplishment, but how much you want to bet his ego will not let him claim that?
Probably not. But that's okay.
I'm so confused.
I will still give him his credit, even though I hate to give him credit for anything.
Right.
I even have enough honesty in me to give him the credit for that.
Yeah.
Talking about Maria.
Oh yeah.
Chilito.
You know, personally, I think what he really needs, I think he needs a real man to bend him over his knee and bust his little butt with a belt. That's what I think he needs.
Yeah.
I think it might be too late for that.
Yeah, but I think it'll still teach him something when he finds out it can actually happen to him.
He's gonna get oddly aroused in the guy's lap, and then the guy's gonna.
I was a sergeant in the military. I can fix stupid. It's gonna hurt a lot, but I can fix it.
Right. Either that, or they'll just be so tired of being stupid they'll want to quit.
That's why he doesn't like torture cuffs.
There was some speculation about that possibly his father was an abusive member of law enforcement, and that's what turned him into the way he is.
That's what I was thinking.
I think a lot of the people that turn against police 100% probably had a bad experience. You know, I have one bad experience, or had one bad experience with law enforcement, and but I do not hold that against every single member of every single department everywhere all the time.
Yeah, like I felt the way Chili's felt before, but I outgrew it. You know, I grew up. I learned from my actions. I've had bad interactions with police, and I learned from them. I didn't be like, "Oh, I have the right to be a jackass and behave anyway." Well, you know,
well, technically you do. Technically, you do have the right to be a jackass
the shit
if you want to
doing.
be.
I was kicking signs at people. I was trying to fight a dude. Not the kind of jackass I was being.
Well, I just meant, you know, you have the ability and the right to be an asshole if you want to be. You know, no one can take that away from you. But here's the thing: if you're gonna, as they say, quote unquote, flex your rights, you should do that responsibly and you should do it cordially. You shouldn't just do it to get the reaction and to create a problem. If you understand what I mean.
Back in my day, if you acted like that in front of a cop, you'd get the living shit beat out of you.
I ended up getting tased.
Well, if you guys seen how the locals treat me, you see that it's nothing like you see on most other auditor channels. They don't come at me like that ever, and the reason is because I don't approach them that way.
Yeah.
You're not there to provoke them. Good, most of the people are.
Like you're not a PayPal Patty or like I don't like the way DMA behaves either. Honestly, I don't know how you guys feel about that guy. Cordova or whatever.
All I ever do is I point my camera, I let you see what I see, I let you hear what I hear without trying to give my opinion and tell you what I saw. The reason is because I expect you to be a mature, responsible adult, educated enough to make your own decision without me having to tell you what I saw. And some things I've seen that I didn't like, that I didn't necessarily agree with, though I didn't think it was worthy of national YouTube media attention. I handle that kind of stuff through the back door, through Captain Chad and through the chief of police. You know, when I think that I've seen something or I know something, I usually take it straight to them so that they will be able to handle that in-house without me trying to make it a thing for clicks and views, like I exposed this and all that kind of stuff. It's not necessary. We learn to work together instead of treating each other as enemies.
Oh, yeah.
So, in other words, you're acting like a journalist instead of an auditor.
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure which one is which. I don't know if I consider myself much of anything other than just a hillbilly who really does want to bridge the gap. I want the local police to see that we're not their enemy and they don't have to be afraid of us, the citizens. And I want, we the people to realize that we don't necessarily have to be afraid of them either. A lot of people think that they are our enemy.
Like
however, they're not our enemy. They're just the first ones in line between us and those above them who might actually be. Those legislators that make the laws we don't agree with.
That's true. But my correlation between journalist and auditor is journalists have ethics.
Some of them do.
I feel like what auditors do is they try to ambush interview you. And that's not something a real journalist would ever do to somebody. Be like, show up at their front door with a camera, be like, give interview now. What do you think? What's the Third Amendment? Like crazy shit. Just
right. So someone just killed your 3-year-old last night. How does this make you feel? What kind of a disrespectful approach
fucking
is
Joe
that?
Rogan. I know you just got knocked the fuck out. But what were you thinking in there? Go ahead and give us the interview.
Right. What were you thinking at that moment? And in case you haven't noticed, usually they will come up and we'll have, American Pride Ohio and I have a great rapport with them, and they'll come up and tell us about the stop. They'll tell us usually why they pulled them over and what the results of the stop were within the realm of that they can legally tell us about. So almost every stop includes an interview afterward.
And that works out great for the viewers. It works out great for your relationship with them, bridging the gap. It's actually, you're doing what you're trying to do, and that's good. If you keep those relationships really good, you're bridging that gap. I mean, I don't see anybody else I haven't seen your video, so I don't know for sure. But I mean, I haven't seen anybody actually doing any of that really, like where they're actually trying to create some kind of relationship and some give and take, where it's like, hey, we're gonna film, we're not gonna interrupt. If you guys are so kind to come and share some stuff afterwards because you guys are cool with us, that's cool. It makes my content that much better. And
Well,
it's like,
I'll be honest with you, my channel is really boring. So if you're used to watching auditor channels, then when you come to my channel, it's going to be boring. There really isn't a lot that goes on. It's just a traffic stop that gets uploaded. Everything that happened, and that's it. You know what I mean? But it's showing the difference between trying to make the show and just letting what happens on the street happen.
Yeah,
There's a big difference between the
I
two.
would consider that to be like true auditing, as opposed to going somewhere and provoking people for likes and views on YouTube, which most of the frauditors, that's exactly what they're doing. They're not auditing anything. They're just starting shit.
Sometimes it would definitely seem that way, you know, and under the guise of trying to flex their rights or to prove to people that they have these rights. And technically, our war is not against the people anyway. You know, I wish everyone would wake up and realize that, you know, our fight and losing our freedoms isn't against the other guy on the street that has the same freedoms you do. He's not your enemy.
actually, in some recent cases, like with Good Citizen News, he's actually working against himself and being his own worst enemy. So you see, we went that social security office. He's standing right behind somebody trying to get help, and they end up calling the police. He ends up getting trespassed and goes to jail. The next day, he tries to go back and do it again. Now they have a sign saying, "Hey, you can't do a film in this lobby." They got basically a poster 7 version, but for the social security office. Now he can't even go in there and film. So he ended up shutting his camera off after like 3 minutes and left.
Right. See, so the problem is rather than making it easier for you to exercise your rights, some of these people are damaging it, making it worse. You know, if his approach had been different, I bet he could have went through there with a camera with no problem. And the only I know I've never done a Social Security office, you know, or anything like that, but I did in the beginning of my auditing. You know, when I started, I went through our local library and I went through our local post office. Now, I wouldn't do the health department or anything like that. You know, there's just certain things that I don't necessarily want on my camera. But the reason I did those things was to show that I could go all the way through the place and do what everybody else does in an easy, cordial, and polite manner and not get any reaction whatsoever, other than people just kind of staring at me wondering, I wonder what he's doing. You know what I mean? Because it was out of the ordinary for them, but they didn't take it as a threat. You know, so I walked all the way through there, stood in line for 5 or 10 minutes, bought a stamp, walked out, walked all the way through the library. And because it was my hometown library, I could tell you, you know, that when I was in high school, I spent time studying here. I tell a little story and I show the trophy case and talk about the library, you know, and because I didn't make anyone in the library the object of my video, I got absolutely zero reaction. And when I spoke to the ladies, I said, "Hello, ladies, how are you all doing today?" They all spoke back. And although they gave me some weird looks, they didn't say a word. I was in and out, and that was it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem with what. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say that's the problem with these guys. I've gone in to get a change of address, walked right through the post office, filming everything. Nobody said a word to me. But
right. So see, it's all about your
walking
approach.
up to people and jamming it down the throat. It
Right.
is. That's all it is. And they think their approach for confrontation is all they're looking for.
Right. The whole time they say they're looking for organic reactions, they're setting up an inorganic reaction. An
If you want
organic
an organic
reaction in public
reaction,
is
set the camera down and don't let them know you're there.
right. Right. Or if you're going to hold it and make a spectacle of yourself, at least be cordial and polite and talk to people. Don't just be quietly filming from a place and just not moving. That seems odd.
Right.
You know, another thing about the organic reactions is if you're pissing people off and the organic reaction is always one of anger or frustration, maybe your approach is wrong. If you're getting the same kind of reaction over and over and over again.
Right. Well, the thing is, if you're out in public, the organic reaction that you should normally get is most people go on with their day and don't pay you no never mind. You're just another person in a crowd of people that they walk past every day. It's not a big deal whether everybody's holding a camera in their hand, but most of them don't seem threatening. So obviously it's not the camera. It's not the issue with filming. It's the person behind the camera, it would seem. You know, that's just my opinion from what I can see and discern for myself.
It's what they're filming and how they're filming it.
Right. So it's all about the person and not necessarily about the camera or even the direction it's pointed. Imagine how many different people have their cell phones pointed different directions every day, even in the direction they might, but because and they could be filming everything, who knows? But the point is you realize that they're no threat. So you don't, it just doesn't even cross your mind.
Right.
So, like, if they were filming, like, let's say, girls in the post office or something, and let's say they keep focusing on, let's say, 2 girls in the range of 20 or something, I would think, oh, they're either attracted to them or they're sex traffickers and they're planning some shit. It's something
Right.
weird. I would just be like, either they're either attracted, they're perverts with cameras. I mean, none of these things are positive that I'm going to think about them. So in my mind, I'm going to start building up a lot of negativity towards them. Because, I mean, the one thing that would be positive is like, oh, they're attracted to them. But that would be creepy because it's like, why are they filming them? It's like,
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly.
It builds up a lot of negativity. There's no positivity coming from it.
I got one question for auditors. They all say that since one cop's bad, all the cops are bad. Well, if one auditor rapes, y'all are rapists. Can we run that on you? Can we lock you all up as sex offenders? Because we know that most of you are. We just haven't caught you yet. But as long as we get to do that, hey, you might be doing something wrong, and people like you do it a lot. I think we're going to have to run that story on them for a while.
Well, know and understand that I do not have any kind of a criminal history like that whatsoever. So my decision to audit wasn't because of my bad experiences with cops. And obviously it's not for clicks and views and for money. That's why I don't get much of that. I just go out
like
and
film.
We don't mention that name here. Well, you'd have to check with Tandy to see if we can let that happen. I don't know. We might have to boot this guy over
I thought that was what you were referencing, though, because you're like, we all get caught up in that snowball.
We just don't say the name here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't know. This is my first time here. I didn't know.
That's okay.
It's my first time here, and I don't know if that's a rule, but it should be.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're making the rules, yeah, that's a good rule.
And just know that I do not hate law enforcement. I am not like the world's biggest cop supporter, though some people call me a bootlicker. I'm actually not. However, I do not hate law enforcement, and I do not believe that all cops are bad.
So you're not like an anarchist, right?
Well, now that depends. The word anarchy doesn't mean no rules. It just means no rulers. I think people misunderstand what that means.
I'm saying, would you think would be fine without police?
Do I think so? Well, that depends. We'd have to shift the perception of the people for them to have a little bit of understanding. But I live out in
If there's no police, I'm gonna start stealing shit. I'm just letting you guys know that right away.
Oh well, see, you're
if
one
there's
of
no police, we can come after you.
Yeah. If there's no police, we're all. It's gonna be
You guys have
anarchy.
to understand. You guys have to understand that you're part of the 2%. The 98% of people that don't rape, pillage, and murder right now are the same people that wouldn't do it even if it wasn't written on a piece of paper with a price that you had to pay for doing it. The reason they don't do it isn't because someone might come and get you.
I wasn't going to rape anybody.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, the
maybe
reason
a little
most people
killing,
won't
but just a little killing, not too much killing.
The reason most people don't is because it's wrong. Not for any other reason. It isn't because of the threat of violence. I live out here in the country where if you call the police, if you call the local sheriff, you're looking at about a 45-minute response time. So if your life or your property is in danger, you better understand how to take care of it yourself. And so that's kind of the way we live out here. We take care of each other, and we don't really have much missing. We don't have that kind of problem. We just don't. Why? Because we're adults.
I'm calculated, though. I'm a mature adult that's going to calculatedly come under the no rules thing, and
well then if you see no rules, then sooner or later somebody's going to take care of that. I just guarantee it.
Exactly. It's just going to be like a bunch of back and forth.
When I was a child, if the men in the community knew that there was a man down the road that beat his wife or beat his kids or something like that, they would group up 5 or 6 of them. They'd go down and knock on that door. They'd bring him outside, and they would have a talk with him. I promise you. And it would stop.
I robbed you, though. Like, they wouldn't. Would they care if I lived down the street and they knew that I robbed you? Like, would they?
You probably wouldn't do it. You probably wouldn't do it more than once. You might get by with it the first time.
Well, if I do it the first time and there's no anarchy, you're not gonna live.
No, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. You would do it the first time, but once we figured that out, Once
No,
we
like,
figured that
yeah,
out
the
and
first,
came,
yeah, but there's no gonna be war anymore because once I take your stuff, you're not gonna live anymore. You don't survive this altercation. That's,
I
well,
think
you
you're
know,
that was
living in a
kind of
fantasy world.
yeah, that's
right.
all hypothetical, obviously, but this is the way. If
And
there's no police, I'm not following any laws that I don't want
well,
to follow. And if I
but
decide as a calculated adult and a psychopath that I'm
understand
gonna
that
go take
I'm
your stuff, I'm
right,
gonna
but
do it.
understand that I am always armed, always, every time, everywhere
Yeah,
I go. So
again,
I don't
that
normally
would,
dial 911. I am the police.
yeah,
Because I'm
exactly.
a
That's what I'm saying.
responsible,
But there would
because
be
I'm a
no police for
responsible,
you to
mature
call,
individual.
so I would expect that from you. There would
You
be
know,
no police for you to call, so I would expect you to defend yourself to the death. And me knowing that, me knowing I want what you have, me knowing I got like $8 in my bank account, and you have a house and a car and everything, and I could just fire one bullet and take it all from you because there's no cops and there's not gonna be any repercussions. Maybe I'll
well,
defend the area a bit better than you did,
that
but
is a big assumption. You're
You
assuming
live
that
in a
I
fantasy
alone.
world.
yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
assuming
That's
that I
all. This is a
alone.
fantasy world. This is the whole thing. There's
You
no
are a,
cops in this world.
but it falls into fallacy right here. You're assuming that you're just against me.
You're
You don't
assuming I'm not
understand.
calculated. I am
No, what I'm
calculated.
saying is
I will
you're way
watch. I will plan
underestimating.
it.
No, you're
Other
just way
people.
You're getting
underestimating the
very
people.
personal, thinking I'm talking directly to you.
No,
I'm saying
I'm just saying that
hypothetically, the person
if
I'm
it
stalking, I want their shit. I know they have this car in this house somehow. I know them pretty well at this point, and I'm just gonna take it. And there's no cops. There's nobody that's gonna stop me. I could walk up
well, I
with
mean, if
one. I could walk up with a handgun and be like, "Hey, I'm your neighbor." Poof, and that's it.
yes, but
And the war's over, and your shit's mine. That's it. You
but
never knew there was a
understand.
war.
But understand, you're talking about taking out one individual and then trying to just take over his stuff. You don't realize that he has friends and family and a community around him. That if you did that, you'd have enough holes to make you a pincushion. It doesn't
Yeah,
always
yeah,
work
yeah.
that way.
That would be the plan,
It's not one man against the world. It's an entire community built together.
So,
People that trust
once
each other.
let's
So
say
that's the difference.
I take your stuff, I go form a gang, and then we just start raping and pillaging after that. Because
Fantasy
after
land.
that, you won't
Yeah,
be able to
I
control the
know.
raping.
Fantasy land, man. It wouldn't
What
happen.
do you
There's,
think the natural
fantasy land.
escalation would be without police? You think we're all just gonna sing kumbaya and get along?
Actually, I think once enough. See, the only reason evil gets to do what it does is because good men do nothing. They stand by and allow it to happen and say, well, that's none of my business. That's my neighbor's problem. Well, right there is the problem. That is the problem. We need to stand together. You need to look out for your neighbor. If you don't know your neighbors, you need to walk over today, knock on their door and say, you know what? I've lived beside you this many years. I don't know you, and I would like to get to know you. Why don't you come over? We'll have a burger. You know, we'll go out for a coffee. You know, let's get to know each other. Because if things go bad or someone's trying to hurt you, I would like to know that, you know, if someone's trying to hurt me or my family, I would like to know that if I'm not home and you are, you would help, and vice versa. If I see someone breaking into your stuff, don't think for a second that I will allow that. So, you know, it's all about community. If you build those relationships and that rapport with people, then no one can come at you like that, like you're talking. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but a
But
community
it takes
is the
each
same thing
individual.
as a tribe or a gang. A community is the same thing. It's just a group of like-minded people working as a team. So you're talking about building a community before I was like, oh, I'm going to make a tribe of savages. It's the same thing. Or if I'm like, oh, I'm going to go get my gang or whatever, you know? It's like, again, I'm just talking about building a community, but we're going to be the opposite of you guys now. So you're talking about building a good community where you all look out for each other.
No,
I'm
I'm
talking about
talking about
building
living in a
psychopaths
country.
that rape and pillage.
I'm talking about living in a country of individual country states, which is what we're supposed to be, the United States of America, because we are all supposed to have the same core values at heart and be ready to fight and die for that at any time. That's what I'm talking about.
I think the ham banana watches too many movies.
Hey, I'll fight with you at war, man. If we go to war with Russia, I'm with you guys. We'll fucking fight shoulder to shoulder, man.
Man, I want to make a point while you say that. You realize the average Russian is not your problem, right? The people that live in Russia
Putin's
don't
the
want to kill us
problem.
any more than we want to go over there and
Yeah,
kill
I
their
know
people.
that. But
It's
if we're at war and they're
governments
gonna have
create that.
war with us, we're gonna have war. We're not gonna be all like we feel bad for our enemy, so we're not gonna fight. We're gonna fucking
Right,
fight.
but know who the enemy is. The enemy is the
The
government who
enemy
starts
is
the
the
war,
person in
not
front
the
of me
people.
with a gun. I don't care who sent him at that point. If I'm out on the floor with a gun and there's a guy in front of me with a gun, that's my fucking enemy, and he's gonna die.
Yeah, I
That's,
don't.
it
I
doesn't
see that you are
matter if
way out of touch
it
with
doesn't matter if
reality.
Putin forced them to go do
I see.
something, guy.
I'm not trying to be insulting, but you're like
Have you
really
never
out of
been?
touch with what's really going on in the world. You
Yeah, I
know,
know. These
Hun-
Are,
are all,
hunker
dude.
down,
We're not
and
there
learn. You
yet.
know,
But where do you
are,
think
are,
war? Where do you
are
think
you
this
a
war is going?
gamer? Are you a gamer, Mr. Ham Banana?
Yes, I've
Yeah,
been playing the
I thought as
forest.
much. You have that mentality that that's actually would be reality.
Well, I get it. You guys are
Even
like,
back in the old west when there
yeah.
was
I
no
seen the videos. You guys just stand in brick buildings and you wait for like days, and then eventually there's like a little bit of gunfire, and then a helicopter comes in and kills everybody at night. I get it. It's boring.
okay.
It's not the way the video game is. I know.
What Sesame Street show have you been watching?
So you
Yeah.
guys just insult, but you don't actually give examples to counteract what I'm saying. You guys
Actually,
just
I've given
resort to
many
childish.
examples. You just haven't been listening. You've been talking over me. You haven't listened to
Sorry,
what
go
I
ahead.
said.
Go,
That's
go.
all. You know, you have this idea of the world, and I'm trying to. You obviously are young. I don't mean to insult you, but
Yeah,
how old are
yeah.
you?
No, you told me you were 60 and I'm 30.
No,
Wait,
that's me.
33 now.
Actually, I'm only 48. I'm pushing 50 as hard as I can. But in the
Oh, I thought you
last
were
10
the
or
guy that said you were 63. My bad.
No,
That might
that's
have been
me.
that might have
That's
been.
me,
Oh, okay.
the criminal
Okay, cool.
up on top.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
And
I'm
he's
I'm
the
I'm
old
gonna.
timer
The
up
guy
there.
in the
I'm
prison
second.
outfit.
I'm not demanding your respect as your elder. I hope you understand. I'm not like that. I don't deserve that
I'm
kind
not
of
like
thing.
that either. I
You
wouldn't
know,
give it to you unless you deserve it. So
right. So, you know, I mean,
we're
if
on
you
the
want to
same
see
page
who I
there.
am, if you want
Wait,
to see
Ham
who I
Banana,
am,
it doesn't sound like you'd give it to him anyway.
if you want to
Fair
know
enough.
anything about me, go watch my channel, and you'll see that I actually am a very calm person with honor and integrity.
Yeah,
You
we've
know,
been talking just
if you
fine
want
this
to
whole
see
time.
change, if you want to see change in the world, be the change that you want to see and lead by example. If you do that, people will follow.
I'm thinking about starting a cult.
Okay. If you actually tried to implement these things you said that you were fantasizing about,
No,
you
I'm
would
not going to
find out you
implement
would
them
find
unless the
out the
police
real
go away.
you would find out the true meaning of vigilante justice.
Batman. No,
You know,
no,
the
no.
most
Those were all hypotheticals for if there were no police. And the whole thing started. I asked him, "Do you think we need police?" And he just went on this whole tangent thing. He didn't answer the question. Do you think we need
no,
police? Or it's an auditor.
you had asked me if I was an
Again,
anarchist.
I'm asking you now.
Was
Do
what
you
you
think
asked.
we need? Do you think we need police? This is what I'm asking you.
Unfortunately, because of the perception of people like yourself and many others, yes, unfortunately,
And that's what I
because
was getting at with the
some
whole
people
hypothetical.
cannot. Right, there'll always be those people that you have to separate from society. Everybody knows that. There's no way around that. There's some people that are just so evil to the core that you absolutely cannot stop them without caging or killing them, unfortunately. But I think that the majority of people, because we do live this close together every day and have absolute peace, it's not because we're afraid of the police. I don't think that's what keeps people in check. I think that's a bad perception of the world. If that's all that keeps you in check, then you're not much of a human. You're not much of a person. You really have no empathy or care for your fellow man at all. And you just don't deserve to have the freedoms and you just don't deserve to be part of a society if you can't like govern yourself.
Yeah, it's a psychopathic self-preservation thing, not more of an empathetic like, oh, I care about people thing. Am I
Right.
hypothetical again? Am I hypothetical? I'm not saying
See, I just come with the
psycho.
world different.
I just want
I
to
give
start a cult.
everyone the chance to show me who they are. They have the opportunity to prove to me who they are while I prove to them who I am. Somewhere along the way, I hope to find common ground and we can build a mutual respect, whether we have a complete agreement or not. Unfortunately, in this country, we've been kind of forced to a left-right paradigm idea where either you're, if I say I don't like Joe Biden as a president, people are like, oh, so you're a Trump supporter, huh? But if I look at them and tell them, no, I disagree with both, now they don't know what to think because they're unable to think without having some kind of a backing of some idea of something that someone else told to them. Me, I just prefer to walk straight down the line, know the difference between right and wrong, good and bad. And if I can help somebody, I will. I don't care who it is. When we meet, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you did in your past. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your beliefs are. We can still be united in certain fronts, even though we may have to agree to disagree on other topics and ideas.
I felt like this was all good piss God off.
Well, my theory when it comes to political ideology and such is that anybody that can follow and agree with one ideology 100% of the time is not capable of independent thought. They're a sheep.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm a conservative pretty much. I used to be a fucking hippie, but now that I've gotten older and I'm a veteran and shit, and I'm pretty much of a conservative. But when I go and hang out at my local biker bar and I hear the fucking crazy Trump supporter people, that just are. I mean, I voted for the guy and I thought he did a good job as president while he was in office, but now I think he needs to just fucking go away. And
he's too
when these guys are all foaming at
Biden at this point.
When these guys are foaming at the mouth talking about he's going to come back and he's going to do this, I just go, you're living in fucking fantasy island.
The only reason any of this stuff actually works, the only reason this dog and pony show is allowed to continue on TV is because we the people are dumb enough to sit here and listen to it. Just saying.
Yeah, and Trump's a professional actor. He knows how to manage shows. He knows how to play the public.
All politicians are.
Oh yeah, but he had a big advantage going in.
You do not get to be president of the United States of America without someone else telling you what your policy is. If you think that they get to decide for themselves, then you don't understand how big government works. You don't understand how it works. It's all about the money, I promise you. Follow the money, you'll know who's in charge.
I personally think up until Trump decided to run in 2016 that the both political parties were more than happy to have Hillary Clinton become the next president. And then Trump stepped in and just threw a monkey wrench into the whole thing. The Republicans weren't even bringing out anybody that could beat her. It's like, let her win.
In my opinion, I think that candidates are chosen and there are no wild cards. I don't think anything takes the powers that be off balance. I don't think anything is a surprise to them. In my personal opinion, I think they allow it to look that way so that we, the people, think, oh, good, there's somebody up there talking for us, so we don't have to say anything yet. And as long as we sit back quiet and just bitch about it like we are right now, rather than actually doing anything to change it, then things just keep getting worse. I mean, out of 200 years of voting, where are we at now? If voting was going to make it better, why isn't it?
Do you think Chile de Castro will ever be president of the United States?
He might be the president of his own fan club.
He's gonna be like, I'm president, you guys. He's like all strapped up in a white padded cell.
When I was a youngster and Ronald Reagan was still an actor, and he ran for governor of California, and everybody goes, that's a big joke. Next thing you know, Ronald Reagan's the governor of California. Then the first couple times he ran for president, everybody thought it was a joke. But then when he ran against Jimmy Carter, it's like, well, I guess the next president's going to be Ronald Reagan.
Right. But
so
see, the interesting thing
possible.
is after that, we have many actors in political careers. I mean, you had Clint Eastwood, I think, was a mayor for a while, maybe a governor. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was a governor.
He was, he was governor of California.
So, I mean, a lot of people, they put a lot of faith behind some of these big names and big faces. And a lot of times the campaign just comes down to whoever has the most money to get their face in front of people the most. Really. I mean, everybody knows that all politicians lie. If that's the only reason you complain about them after you elected them. You're like, well, shit, I voted for this guy and I disagree with that. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, they lie a lot. Most of them never do half of what they say they're going to do. And that's just politics. And yet we all show up in droves to cast a vote the next time for the same kind of crazy stuff.
Well, by the time Ronald Reagan was elected president, he had been a politician for quite a while. So
Right.
He didn't just come out of the woodwork and I want to run for president.
Right. They are groomed. And they are handpicked. And even if your vote really counted, which in my opinion, obviously it doesn't for the presidential election because that's the electoral college. We could eliminate the entire public vote. It wouldn't matter. But even if your vote did count, let's assume that it does, they still get to pick the two candidates and you only get two. Like, we the people don't really get a fair representation. They just throw up a couple of people, throw their faces out everywhere and say, hey, this is the best guy for this team and this is the best guy for that team or girl, and you just have to take our word for it. Which one do you want? So we the people go to the polls with the dumbest saying I've ever heard: I have to vote for the lesser of two evils, knowing that we are voting for evil and admitting it outright. And I think that's a sad state of affairs.
There was the election where I think it was whenever George H.W. Bush was running for re-election. He most likely would have gotten re-elected if it was Ross Perot, I think, got involved.
Yes, he ended up swinging enough votes to let Clinton take the election.
Republican vote. Now, see, that could happen again to the Democrats if Bernie decided that he wasn't going to let him screw him again this next time. Of course, he's going to be so old by then. I don't know if
I think this is a lot like the WWE with their storylines. I think they're written well in advance, and personally, I think it's all planned. I think it's just a TV show to keep people quiet, so that each side every once in a while gets a president or a governor or a mayor that they agree with, so that for a while they get to feel okay that the other side of the team has to pay the price. It's just kind of silly.
I think it was that way before Trump took office, but I don't really think it's that way now.
Well, I sure hope the people are waking up.
You got both sides that they just want to be absolute power.
Right.
And they no longer like, well, hey man, I tell you what, we'll let your side be the president this time, and then we're going to win it next time. Okay.
I just hope the people finally wake up. As long as the people wake up and they're able to smell the crap when it's thrown at them, it'll all work out great.
Well, until we have more than two political parties that are electable as president, stuff like that, like until the first time a independent or someone from another party that they invent between now and then.
Why does there have to be a party? Why can't there just be a guy or a gal? Why can't there just be somebody? See, that's the problem. I believe it was George Washington who said that political parties will be the ruination of this country.
Yeah, but independents have absolutely no chance of winning. Like this buddy of mine, he wasn't really a friend because when it comes to politics, we are polar opposites. But he hated Hillary so much, he voted for the independent. And I said, well, you just wasted your vote because the independent ain't never going to get elected. Now, that could happen eventually.
I can say that there was one time I got a vote for president of the United States. When Obama ran, my cousin wrote himself in for president, wrote me in for vice president. So I don't know if there's a lot of people in the country that can say that or not, but at least I got voted on by somebody.
That's cool.
Well, I remember Joe Walsh ran for vice president. I think he got a couple votes.
If you've ever read the Constitution, the funny thing is the people aren't even supposed to really have a vote for president. It was never really that way constitutionally. And the funny thing is the electorals, when they vote for president, the whoever got the most amount of votes is president. Whoever got the second highest amount of votes was vice president. They didn't get to pick their running mates. Right. They didn't get to have the team because our government is supposed to be fair and balanced, and the president is not supposed to be the most important person, the leader of the free world, as they say. He's just supposed to be the balancing part to the Senate and the House.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be the spokesperson for the entire world. Somehow they became that, but that's not how it was originally constitutionally intended.
I would actually like that if they didn't get to pick the vice president. If it was just somebody we all voted for, that would be a lot better. It'll make them less of a puppet.
It used to be that way. It used to be that, like he said, whoever came in second was the vice president.
Yeah,
so the president might be a Republican and the vice president might be a Democrat.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I mean, it would be more like it would be like less of, oh, my vice president's just, some guy with my hand up his ass.
Of course, the vice president really doesn't have any power, not much power. I mean, he does have some power. He's the deciding vote in the Senate or something like that, but doesn't really have a whole lot of,
I have a very old-fashioned traditional view of things, don't I? Almost live in a fantasy world where we the people are still in control. That's
Well,
how it was
you
originally
have
supposed
that.
to be.
You have that history.
You know, I also served in the Army, you know, as an Army medic. And although I tell people, please don't thank me for my service, all I ever did was pick up cigarette busts and work on trucks. I didn't even get to be the medic, you know, and I never went to war. I went in March of 2001, or excuse me, I went in March of 93 and I come out in 2001, right before they hit the Trade Center. I got my discharge in March and they hit it in September.
Well,
So I missed it by that little narrow window. And I'll be honest, when it happened, I thought about volunteering again, but I didn't. And I figured I'd let younger, more experienced guys take that. And I think they did well, but you know.
I didn't join the service out of a fucking patriotic thing. I just wanted to have a better job. And the only action I saw when I was in the military was overseas in bars. But I saw a lot of good action there.
Right. I didn't even make it out of the country. I did absolutely nothing worth talking about at all, you know, other than just having my name on the line. But for me, I've had family in every war fought in this country. It's always been, you know, all the way through it. Seems like everybody served. Most of them were drafted during the Nam era and all that, but they still served, and they served with honor, and they served with integrity. And whenever I turned 18, I felt it was my patriotic duty, because I love the idea, you know, that our country is supposed to stand for. I mean, obviously it doesn't look that way on the face of it anymore, but the idea that we the people can stand together and protect each other, you know, from sea to shining sea, and not only here but all over the world. I believe in those ideas and those values, and for me it was a patriotic thing. You know, I signed up to do my do my country justice, to give back to those that had to die so that I had that opportunity to live free. And, you know, I wanted to give other people that chance. And in my personal opinion, I think everybody should serve, not necessarily on the front lines. If all you can do is push a pencil or a broom or pick up the yard and mow grass, hey, fine, that's fine. But as long as you serve. And because I believe that way, I served. You know, I joined willingly, and I did my time, and I got out. So, well, you know, for me, I'm just that kind of a, I hate to use the word patriot, because it's kind of turned into like a denominational idea of what that means now. You know, but I really do believe in the original ideals of the Constitution.
Yeah, well, he's a Buccaneer now. He's a pirate.
I know he is. It's just I still think of like he's just like average American.
Now, if you'd have known me in high school and everything, and then I ran across you later and I told you that I was in the military, you'd go, "Ah, you're bullshitting me." I was a full-on fucking hippie stoner motherfucker. That's all I cared about. And then there was along one day, and I just said, you know what? I'm not digging the fucking. I have no education. I'm not going to want to do these shitty ass dead-end jobs. I'm going to go in the military, and I'm going to. But you know what? Being in the military turned me kind of back into the. Except I was a little more patriotic, but I still went back to being a fucking stoner hippie, you know, fucking construction worker, so I didn't have to deal with the man, you know. I could have got a good job at for Lockheed Shipbuilding when I got out of the service, and I thought about it for a while and said, "Hey, hell no! I'm going to grow my goddamn hair back out and smoke a bunch of dope, snort a bunch of cocaine."
I always tell everybody I was just a dork. You know, I was a cute dork, and at some point life hit me right square in the face and did this to me. But, you know, I was just a quiet, shy nerd. I was a bookworm. I was always in all the smart kids classes, always acing all the tests, you know, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I was all heart and no brains, unfortunately. You know, I wish someone would have been able to take me by the hand when I was younger and explain these concepts and ideas to me. You know, I mean, I had them, but not nearly to the point that I do now. Unfortunately, wisdom, as I heard it put on a stream the other night, wisdom is that thing you gain exactly after you should have had it.
That was me.
There you go. See, you know, that is a very good way of looking at it. You know, like experience, it comes exactly after you wish you would have had it.
Experience works the same way too.
Right. So it was you I was quoting, Logan?
Yep. And I was quoting someone else.
Well, long as I know who told me, I'm able to further that and give that credit back to you. So I appreciate you putting it like that. That was a good way to put it, and that is so true, so true. Once you mash your thumb with that hammer, you've learned not to do it. It's amazing.
It is.
Logan, you were. Did you say? I thought I was in South Korea. You ever serve anywhere else overseas?
Yeah, I did 1.5 years in Germany.
Oh, okay. So you went to the other side. I thought for some reason when you were talking once that you had might have been out at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines.
I was. Spent a month there.
Oh, okay. I spent 3 months there. That was a wonderful place. What time era was this? Well, obviously it was before Mount Pinatubo.
Yeah, it was 88.
Oh, okay.
I turned 21 in the Philippines.
There was a particular bar that was like just outside of the town there called Clubhouse 51 or 54. Was that still there when you were there? It was the only all nudie place. Then it was like a boxing ring in the middle of a bar, and they put on a hell of a show at that place.
The name changed. That's the Nipa Hut, and yeah, it was still there.
I used to take a bus there from Subic Bay just to go witness that for the night.
Oh boy, that's quite a show.
Yeah, I can tell some funny stories, but not in mixed company. I would be.
Yeah, you'd get that. You'd definitely get Honey's channel shut down if we told about it. Yeah, that was there. I actually wound up getting shot at in the Philippines. That sucked.
Yeah, see, the atmosphere around the Air Force Base compared to around the Navy base was completely different. I mean, because Air Force guys tend to stay in the same place for a while, where Navy guys come in for a week and raise hell and then leave again.
Right.
So we used to go out there just to calm down for a while. My ship was actually involved in an incident where we ran over one of our own submarines. So I was in dry dock in Subic Bay for 3 months back in 82, 83. It was quite the experience.
Hey guys, I don't want to interrupt, but I've got to drop off. I wanted to say thanks to Tawny and everybody on the panel, and hello and goodbye to everybody in the chat. I always have a great time with everybody, so I appreciate it. Thank you for listening and putting up with me for a bit.
Thank you, Jerry.
Y'all have a great day.
When you come back one of these days, I got a question to ask you, but I'll wait.
If you want, shoot right now. I've got a minute.
It was involving what was the end result of the gun thing with Chili? Something about somebody gave him a gun, and then they said that he kind of changed his story, and then he changed his story back again. I never did hear the full thing about that. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, basically, the way that it turned out was in the beginning, he had reached this to Chili, and Chili was supposed to pay him for that. Then later, after that, he had done a fundraiser for that gentleman, and because of that, he then gave it to him, if that makes sense. He went ahead and wiped the debt clean because Chili had done that for him. So that's what kind of caused that and all the confusion. And there was a lot of deception between the two of them, trying to come out on top. I think.
That's the way I was seeing it. I didn't see the guy that claimed that he stole his gun or whatever he was trying to say was being completely honest about the story.
Right. I don't think either one was 100% upfront on that in the beginning. So it was kind of like one of those sands through the hourglass, or the days of our lives type thing. Just a lot of drama and fun. But anyway, it just turned out that apparently at the end of it, there was an agreement, and then that agreement was changed because of the, so instead of actually paying him, he did a fundraiser and got him a certain amount of money, and then that guy decided to go ahead and give it to him. So that's how it turned out. There you go.
Yeah, I was just curious because I only heard part of the story.
Right. Well, I know the guy who gave it to him personally, so he only lives a few miles from my house. So
yeah, he was. I saw one of your live streams when it was being discussed. That was back around the time that Chili was first starting the shit with that Chad guy.
Right. And I'm not trying to talk down about Derek, the guy who gave him the gun. I don't mean to do that, because I actually went about a month ago and spent a whole day he's like a contractor. He goes and does, work and stuff. And for that day, I went out and I was his extra pair of hands. I helped him complete a job, and so again, he's another one of those persons that he and I don't have to agree on everything, but it is amazing what we can do when we can put our differences beside and work, to the side and work together to accomplish one goal.
Cool.
But all right, guys, I wish you all the best, all my best wishes and prayers for all of you. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you around.
Take care,
Sure,
Jack.
come back anytime.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Later.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, Ironton.
Well, Tony, this is your stream. Do you want to chime in here?
Which is listening to everybody. Got kind of interesting.
Oh, the anarchist looks like he dropped out.
Yeah, I see that.
I tend to stay away from politics.
Yeah, I do too, but no.
Well, that wasn't really so much about politics, but
no,
his perception of he could get away with, even if there was no like law enforcement agencies, that he could get away with stuff like that. It's like you're going to run across other people that are thinking the same thing, and like one gang can't be the baddest gang because you're going to face other freaking gangs.
I mean, shit, look, I grew up in Chicago. Don't tell me about gangs.
What's that?
I grew up in Chicago. Don't tell me about gangs. Holy shit! Go down to the South Side on a Friday night.
I'm from Inglewood, California, where the Crips and the Bloods are.
Yeah.
So
yeah, now
they do.
They got the folks and the people.
Of course, your gang center now is the high desert.
Yeah, it is. But, no, what I was going to say is I don't know everybody on my street, but I damn sure know both neighbors on each side and a couple across the street. And we talk. It's like, hey, what if this, that, and everybody knows who's armed, who's not armed. And so we know which way to go if something's happening, where. And I mean, just from my bedroom window, I can see my neighbor's front porch, and his wife works from home, and she's out doing stuff all the time, and they get a lot of stuff delivered. So
right.
Anytime I get up and, across the window, I peek out. Yeah, packages are still there. Okay. So, I'm on the lookout for porch pirates, and they do the same thing for me. Just being neighborly.
Yeah, I live out in the country, so we don't get too many problems like that. So thank God.
We haven't so much either. I mean, it's Simi Valley. So
yeah.
But there is crime.
I'm sure Simi Valley has changed a lot since I lived there.
Yeah, it's a big heroin problem now.
I know the racial makeup of Simi Valley has changed a lot. Yeah. The one high school I went to, I think there was like one black person, and the other high school, there was maybe two. A handful of Mexicans. That was it. Everybody else was white. But I moved from East LA to Simi Valley, and I lived in the Knowles area, and I went to school. I went to Valley View, which is probably not too far from where you're from. Where you live.
Valley View's that junior high I went to.
Yeah. Okay. But when I ran across there, what I ran into was, hey, we live in this housing tract. Therefore, my dad makes more money than your dad makes, so I can talk shit to you.
No.
And I would tell these guys, I says, dude, you wouldn't last 5 minutes where I just came from.
Do you remember Palermo Pizza on Tapo?
Yeah, I do.
The people who own that lived right across the street from me.
Oh, cool.
So I tell you, once they sold it, man, the pizza's gone downhill.
The first street this side of LA Avenue and Tapo, I forget what the name of the street is. Oh, I still have that map up. I could look real quick. My dad used to own an auto parts store on that street. And one of my first jobs was I had a job selling tools at the swap meet at the drive-in,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of the first regular paying jobs was that car wash there on Tapo. I think it's still there.
Yeah, it is. Interesting fact: the building.
But yeah, Simi Valley has changed.
That building that car wash is, it's the exact same building as Manhattan Car Wash in Manhattan Beach, California.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. It's industrial street.
Hey, welcome, Amanda.
Hey, how are you?
Hello, Amanda.
Hello. How is everybody?
Doing all right. Just listening to everybody's stories.
Yes,
we're
definitely.
Levi's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I just noticed that we kind of got from political, which is always something that might get us in trouble.
Well, I didn't go too deep, so you know.
Yeah, it wasn't too much politics, but the theoretical stuff that young man was saying about, you know, anarchy and stuff like that. It's like, you know, you're still gonna meet up with vigilante justice if you tried pulling anything like that. Because people are gonna that don't think the way you think are gonna pull together and say, we need to take care of this. I mean, that's how they kept getting the Frankenstein monster.
Well, the same thing like with my. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject.
No,
but
go ahead.
Even my father, whenever we had troublemakers in our neighborhood, my father would be the one outside, even in boxers, running to chase teenagers. And the next door neighbor would have his baseball bat. So, yeah, I mean, even though we had a cop next door, they would be the one catching all the kids and then taking them home and be like, parents, you need to do something with your kids. So.
Yeah. Well, see, when I was a youngster, and we lived in Highland Park, which is in Lincoln Heights and Highland Park, which is in, you know, I guess that's sort of East LA. It's not, I mean, it's around East LA, and I was definitely in the minority there, and I pissed off some of the cholos, and there was one time with this guy's older brother, because this kid spit in my face, and I beat the crap out of him. And they figured they were going to get me, and I was going to cower down because they called us patties back then. But I was a gabacho, I was a gringo. I was going to cower down in front of them. And this high school kid I was in the 6th grade. And this high school kid comes to the elementary school, and he's going to beat me up, right? And nobody's going to say anything about it. And then they said, well, he lives across the street right there. And he looks over there, and my uncle he was not a member, but he was an associate of the Hells Angels. And when the kid looked over there and saw those Harleys parked out in front of my mom's house and a bunch of dudes wearing colors and stuff, he decided, I don't think I'm messing with that guy.
Good for them. See, it's nice to have backup support. That's what it's all about on this Monday, is having support. Backup support. And, you know, just making sure the day's better instead of having anarchy or anything negative going on in our lives. It's, you know, bringing positivity, not negativity.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you necessarily consider this politics. I guess it kind of is, but the whole concept of defund the police, I was like, that's ridiculous.
I totally agree, because I mean, we're gonna still need police to help secure, because there are some people that are not good people. I mean, they're the ones that choose to do the wrong. So of course, if they get caught, yeah, they're gonna be in handcuffs. They're gonna go to jail. They're gonna spend their time in court, and then they're gonna serve time that is duly needed.
Well, the areas where they have cut back on the police funding and stuff like that, they've turned into total shitholes. Like
Oh, I know.
Oregon and Seattle, Washington used to be great places. I mean, there's a lot of drugs go on there and stuff, but they were not bad places to live. And now I hear people say, "Yeah, man, I live up by Portland, man. What a shithole. We don't even go into town anymore."
Yeah, see, our problem here in my small town is meth.
Yeah.
Oh.
I grew up in the high desert. I'm well aware of what the meth problem can be.
Yeah, so I'm not very far from the Texas border, so but you know what? I mean, we still have a lot of good people here, but then there's some like in Christmas time we had our car broken into.
Texas. Oh, Oklahoma. That's where you're from, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so people were breaking into the homes and breaking into cars, and they decided to break into one of our cars. Well, my husband, he comes out. He could have brought the loaded gun with him, but he didn't. He just scared them off. Luckily enough, the police did catch them, and they are now serving their time. And, but again, it's just, unfortunately, drugs is the problem. It's not always the person.
But
So
then you
that's where
got those people that say, "Well, if we just legalize drugs, it wouldn't be a problem anymore." It's like you've lost your mind.
Yeah. So I agree, Queen. It's it's not always the person. It's just because we know someone who tried meth, got addicted, but then now he's a recovering addict, and he's turned his life around. So if people can get the right resources, that's the main thing. Is just finding people out there to say, listen, you got to buck up and do the right thing because you're ruining your life because you know you're ruining the lives of your family, and you can't be selfish just because you want this drug. Let's find you some other kind of something to help you. And so but yeah, it's just unfortunately, when people choose to do drugs, it takes over. And so I can't always blame the person. It's the drugs that take over. And if they could just get the help that they need, there's so many resources out there. I know it's hard to stop. And I know we all have our thing. Like I was addicted to Mountain Dew. That was my thing. And then I quit. But it's like my sister, she's trying to quit smoking, and it's hard. And so everyone's going to have something that
Yeah,
is their
mine is
thing.
eating right now. I eat too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, I love carbs.
Food is my
And
friend.
yes. Or even but
And
yeah, I agree.
I
I
went
agree.
through a lot of shit to lose weight because my health had gotten so bad. And actually, it was because of friends of mine took a picture. I think I still have it. Let's see. I'll bring it up. You'll see what made me decide that I needed to do something about my weight. See if I can find this picture. I saw myself and I says, "That's not what I see when I look in the mirror." But now that I see what I really am, I need to do something about it. See if I can find that picture.
I know I had really high blood pressure until I lost weight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I need to do too.
Can you see my avatar? I'm like half that size now. But when I was that big, I didn't realize I was that big. That's a full-size Harley Davidson right there.
It was a big
An electric glide.
But you've lost a lot of weight.
It looks like I was on a mini bike. But see, I never saw myself as that. I didn't see that guy in the mirror. I knew that I was having health problems, but I didn't realize what was causing them until I saw that picture. But I went through I lost a whole bunch of weight on a low-carb diet. Then I did the gastric sleeve. And then I went through all the procedures and stuff. And then about 6 months after, I started getting back into eating junk food. And I'm not nearly that big now, but my health issues are coming back real bad. I have difficulty breathing all the time, which sucks. I can't
Yeah.
do anything because I need to go see my cardiologist again. I think the problem is the medication that I take for my heart isn't effective anymore. And my heart will produce oxygen just fine when I'm sitting, when I'm sedentary. But when I start moving around, my oxygen level drops drastically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But you know what? I applaud you for doing what you need to do. And, just
When you
like
see
with the
yourself
health.
and you look like that, and you went, "Oh my God, what have I done?" I
Oh,
used
I
to
mean,
be so skinny when I was a kid. I weighed like 160 pounds when I went in the Navy.
yeah, see, like when I met my husband, I'm 5'2" and I weighed 109 pounds. I'm not going to tell you what I weigh now, but we'll just say I weigh more than what I weighed as I was pregnant. And I don't like it. And I think some of it is medication. And it's not the Mountain Dew now, Zerzus. I drink Diet Mountain Dew. But still, I need to quit on the carbs and get back to eating like I was because I had gained 20 pounds after my sister left. And I think it's just because I went through a depression phase because I enjoyed having her here because she was helping us and she was helping me. And I just, after she just quickly abruptly left, I just didn't know what to do. And so I've just kind of gained weight, but I'm going to lose it. I am. And just like B said, we all have our vices and but at least just making sure that we're as healthy as we can be. And I know that when we look in the mirror, we're our own worst enemy towards ourselves. And it's nice when other people can support us and say, hey, you're beautiful on the outside and on the inside. It's just if you feel like you need to lose 5 pounds, let's do it together. Let's work and be a team. And I have a friend of mine who wants to do it together, but we need to set dates to do it. And so I've just got to get started. That's the only thing is just the motivation. And you've done it, so you know what it's like to get motivated. So maybe you can help motivate a lot of us. Say, hey, this is what you got to do.
Yep. I quit doing hard drugs on my 30th birthday. Of course, it was an easy decision to make. I was all jacked up on cocaine and Jack Daniels. I'm looking at possibly going to prison for 5 years. And my sister just died. And I was like, man, I'm
Oh,
not going to spend the
wow.
rest of my life doing this same bullshit I'm doing now. So I quit. And I've really never, I had a couple of incidents where I did just a little bit of dope, but I didn't get like whacked out of my mind or anything. But I did.
Thank you, Gary.
I snorted a small line of crystal meth one time after that, I think. But I had a definite Coke addiction too. I lived for Coca-Cola, and that was a lot of my weight problem too. Because
For
when
my
I got off Coca-Cola and went straight on
anxiety.
the water, my health started improving right off the bat.
No, that's good. We should, very, very proud of you for saying, hey, I need to make some changes, not only for myself, but for my family. So,
So
I mean, you should be very proud of you.
my only family is my little doggy here, but well, I mean, I have other family, but not that I'm responsible for.
I wish I had some wonderful, inspiring story of how I dropped 50 pounds, but I retired and I just quit eating fast food 2 or 3 times a day. I
Yeah.
mean,
See?
it took 2 years. I was losing about 2 pounds a month. And I remember going
Oh,
back into
wow.
my pulmonologist, and he was like, "Where'd all the weight go? Do I need to get you a full exam?" I said, "No, no, no, no. I've been dropping about 2 pounds a month." He's like, "Oh, okay." So, "Good, you feel fine? You feel good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel great." I actually had to take myself off the high blood pressure medication. I was getting hypotension all the time because the medication I was on, apparently I didn't need it anymore.
I
Hey,
one
that's
time was
awesome.
I went into I went in to go see a respiratory therapist, I think it was. And I don't know if I was panicking about something or whatever, but they have a thing you have to go through when it was at a clinic that was inside of a hospital. And when I went through the entrance thing, the triage, my blood pressure was normal. But when I went into the back, my blood pressure was extremely high, but the nurse had taken it on my forearm because I have big arms.
Mm-hmm.
And she took it on my forearm, and it was 199 over something. And the doctor says, your blood pressure is like extremely high. You need to start taking this medication right here. But on the way out the door, my blood pressure was back to normal again. But I took his advice. I took it. It was lisinopril.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me feel like I had Alka-Seltzer in my blood. I took it for like 2 days and said, I ain't taking that no more. I could feel my blood gurgling in my body. That was weird.
I used to get the tickle in the back of my throat, and my best friend's on it, and she was complaining about that, and I just said, I just took a page out of my grandmother's book and sucked on a hard candy, and that took care of it. They call that the lisinopril tickle.
When I went back to the doctor says, I based my whole diagnosis on that one blood test. And he goes, and I should have taken into consideration that a lot of people, when they go to the hospital, they just panic, and I guess I'm one of those people.
Yeah, it's called white coat hypertension.
Yeah. And
my mom gets that, so I just take her blood pressure before we go to the doctor.
Well, they just started monitoring mine after that, and they decided that I didn't. I was on it for a while when I was real hefty. But like I was pre-diabetic too, so I was having to take that metformin and stuff. And then after I had the gastric sleeve, I didn't have to take none of that crap anymore. But I have to find a happy medium. I can't cold turkey quit eating everything I love and stick to a strict, I just got to cut out some of the bad habits I have, like eating at night, and stuff like that. Eating junk food, sitting here eating a whole bag of potato chips when I shouldn't be.
I found as I was losing weight, and I was sitting at home alone being retired, I found out that I was just better off grazing. Some people say that that's a bad way to eat, but I would eat 5 or 6 small meals throughout the day. And I noticed that if I were to sit down and have a big plate of food, like at a family dinner or something, I'd order normally what I would order, and I couldn't get through it. So I was teaching myself to eat smaller meals more often.
After the gastric sleeve, I couldn't even finish a hamburger. And I used to order 2 hamburgers at a time before I had it done.
Yeah, I'm like that now. I have to pause, and then I'll go back to it in a half an hour to an hour later, and just finish the rest of it. But that's how I am now.
I forget what they called that doctor, but my weight doctor, can't remember exactly what they called the guy. They have a name for that specialty. But he recommended, like what you said. He was and I used to go to a support group, and they said they recommended that, the grazing thing. Eat small meals throughout the day instead of like 3 huge meals or 2 huge meals.
Well, I didn't do it because of a diet plan or anything. It's just, I was hungry, so I'd eat when I was hungry, and I'd stop when I wasn't. And that's kind of what it worked out to.
I think that whenever the reason I didn't have such a weight problem when I was working full time back in the day was that was the way I would eat. As I was a truck driver, so every once in a while when I'd stop to gas up or I had a lull in the action or whatever, I would grab a candy bar or a hot dog or something instead of sitting down and taking a long lunch or whatever. I'd take my lunchtime and take a nap.
No, and I was the same way. I basically lived out of a patrol vehicle for 8 to 16 hours a day, and it's what am I going to do? I'm going to go through a drive-through, and eat in the car. So, and I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to eat next, so I double up on food and wind up eating it all.
How when did you get out of the military?
91.
I can't believe how much that I spoke to somebody, a buddy of mine's stepson was a few years in the Navy and stuff, and I told him about the kind of stuff that went on when I was in the service. He goes, "Oh no, they don't tolerate none of that crap no more. You can't go overseas and do the things I was doing. They have a no fraternization rule now in most of these places."
Oh, geez.
It's like, what?
I was actually on town patrol to pull people out of freaking bars that they weren't supposed to be into.
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of that a few times.
Oh,
I did a lot of shore patrol. I used to chase brig rats too. Brig chaser. I'd go to the brig and pick up people and make them do manual labor. They'd always tell us, if one of these guys gets away, you're going to serve out the rest of their sentence. It's like, I don't think so.
I remember.
But yeah, I was always on the receiving well, actually, I could always handle myself. So, I never became, there was the times I got extremely intoxicated and acted like an idiot and stuff. Most of the time I was the guy back to the ship before he gets in trouble.
Very rarely would we lock someone up for doing something stupid downtown. As a matter of fact, we got this Marine one time who busted up a bar, and unfortunately for him, it was my favorite bar. But actually, fortunately for him, it was my favorite bar because I talked to the mama-san, and she's like, "Hey, it's going to be like $200 to fix all this stuff that he broke." He's a Marine reservist who is in South Korea for Team Spirit. So 2 weeks, he's 18 years old. There's no drinking age in Korea. So he got a little full of himself and his gung-ho pride. So we pick him up and we got him on the law enforcement desk, and he's playing prisoner of war. All right, name, rank, and serial number. And it's like, oh, geez. All right. My flight chief looks at me and he goes, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Fuck it, call his gunny." And the kid went white. So he's like, "All right, it's your idea. You make the call." So I called over to Tent City, and I said, "Yeah, is your gunny there? Who is this?" This is, Airman Sandman from the base police. And uh-oh. It's like, yeah. So, gunny. It's the cops. So he gets out, he's like, "Okay, who is it?" And it's like, "Well, he's playing prisoner of war." He goes, "I know who it is. I'll be right there."
Queen is heading out.
5 minutes with my
Queen.
Huh?
Queen is heading out. So everyone, she's saying have a safe night. So good night, Queen. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
So anyway, the gunny gets there, and I tell him what's up, and he peels out $200 and says, "Go pay Mama-san." And he goes, "You're gonna pay me back." And he goes, "Can I have 5 minutes with my Marine?" Like, sure. So we let him in the cell. A few minutes goes by, and you hear thump, thump, thump. So we open it up, and they come out, and this kid's got a bloody nose, and he's like, "Sirs, I'd like to apologize for my behavior brought upon myself, United States Marine Corps, sirs." Like, "Have a nice night, gunny." He goes, "Oh, I will." He won't. Poor kid was on tent guard for 2 weeks.
Oh no!
I was living in Lancaster when I joined the Navy, and I went in through the AFI station on Wilshire Boulevard. I don't know if that's the one you went in through.
That
you
was
were in the military a long time ago.
MEP station. AFIS is the Army and Air Force Exchange Service.
Okay, yeah, but so anyway, I had to spend a couple extra days there because I threw away my high school transcripts and stuff. And there was a handful of us that were waiting. Some guys were waiting for waivers and this and that. And about 6 o'clock in the evening, they said, "Well, you guys are all clear. We're going to put you on get on the bus and go to the train station and take the train down to San Diego." join up with the rest of you're going to join up with the company that's forming today. Because they formed like one company a day back then. So we get on the this guy's former Air Force guy that was in charge of us, and he doesn't allow us to stop and drink or anything. He takes us straight to the train station, makes us sit right there till the train takes off, and we get on the train. He goes up and he asks, where can we, when can we turn in these food vouchers and stuff? The guy tells him, and we go sit down. About that time, these 6 youngsters that were obviously kind of in the same position we were, but they were going to Marine Corps recruit depot there in San Diego. And they took offense to the fact that we were eating first, because the guy that was in charge had enough brains to go up and ask him when we could turn in our food vouchers and stuff. And so one of them decided to trip one of the guys that was with us, and he was a younger guy and stuff. And I was filled out a little bit, even though I was 160 when I went in. I was when I took the test and stuff, I was about 180 by the time I actually went in. And I took offense to the fact that one of these guys tripped one of our guys and stuff. So when one of their guys, I started telling these guys that we're in the Marine Corps. I says, no, you're not. You're just a bunch of punks going in the Marine Corps. And we had a little tussle. And I noticed that the conductor had locked the doors on the train. And I told him, I says, hey, man, we need to all mellow out. And when they ask us what happened, we're just saying we were funning around. There was no real hostilities and stuff. And they're like, what are you talking about? I says, they locked the doors on here. I think we're going to have a problem when we get to San Diego. And it bigger than shit. The train stopped. Nobody opened the door for us. A few minutes later, I see the shore patrol pull up on one side and the military police for the Marines pull up on the other. It's like, oh, we're going to jail. They just kept us in the brig for a little while, and then they took us out to our company and stuff. And the company commander, which was like a drill sergeant, whatever, in the other services and stuff, he goes, all right, you better have a good explanation for why we've been sitting here 4 hours waiting for you assholes. And I says, well, we kind of got in a hassle on the way down here on the train with some guys going to the Marine Corps. And I explained what happened. He says, well, did you at least win the fight? I says, well, of what was there, yeah, I basically backed off like 4 guys just saying that they weren't big enough to mess with a fully grown man yet. He says, I think I like you. And it's kind of funny, the whole situation, because he went from being mad to like, I think you're going to have a good career in the Navy.
I remember my first night in basic training. Half my flight was from California. The other half was from New York. And we had a handful of guys from overseas. Go figure. But, they were dependent kids who grew up overseas, and, they came in. Anyway, there was this one of these kids. I think he was from New York, or maybe he was from LA. I don't know. His name was Furby. And, of course, night one, you're off the bus. Pick up your bag, put it down. Pick it up, put it down. Y'all have to do it at the same time. Pick it up, put it down. And this guy walks up to the drill instructor and says, yo, brother, take it easy on a brother, man.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Drill instructor was a skinny black dude. And he turned around. Furby was this wide body. And, all hell broke loose. Anyway, we had these violation slips that we had to fold a certain way and carry in our left breast pocket. At all times, you needed 2 of them. They were called Air Force Form 341s. And so Furby got the nickname 3Furby1 because they basically just gave him a whole packet of those to carry because this kid couldn't do anything right. Anyway, one night he decides he's going to break into the locker where all of our luggage is stored. It's basically just a closet with a locked door on it. So he breaks in, finds a suitcase, gets his Walkman, jumps out the window of the day room onto the roof of the building below us. Okay, because they were 3-story basic training barracks. And so if you go, and the way they were done is one story goes one direction and it crisscrossed to the second story, and then it crisscrosses to the third. So he jumped out the second onto the roof of the first story. He's just hanging off there with his legs off the edge, listening to his Walkman. And if he would have jumped, he'd have just hurt himself. So he decided, okay, I'm going to climb down, and he did, and he took off running. And security police came out with a dog, and they tracked him down. He was in the dumpster right outside the chow hall. If you've never seen a dumpster outside of a chow hall, man, you do not want to crawl in one of those.
Yeah, full of maggots and stuff.
Oh, God, it's foul. Anyway, you climbed into that. The dog's like, he's here. So we didn't see him anymore. And I got out of basic training early because of all the junior ROTC that I had. I had proficiency advanced out. And I went on to, the Security Police Academy, and then dog school, and then drug dog school. And I'm getting ready to leave and go to Korea. And I'd gone back. I wanted to go say goodbye to my drill instructors, thank them and all that, because they were actually really good with me. And Furby was still in the day room. He got in the exact same day I did. And I said, is he still here? He goes, yep. His 6 months are up day after tomorrow. He's going home tomorrow. They made him wait the full 180 days of his before they administratively discharged him.
There was a guy I was in boot camp with, and he decided that he didn't want to be in there anymore. He didn't want to be in the service. And so he decided he was going to act like he'd nutted up. But he made the mistake of telling people that what he was going to do. And I was kind of friendly with the company commander because I had broken my leg. And he had gone out of his way to contact my mother and have her come down to San Diego and all this other stuff because he really liked me for some reason. We would sit in his office and shoot the shit. He was a river patrol boat guy from Vietnam and stuff like that. He was a badass, man, but he was a cool guy. We like to talk about cars and stuff. And anyway, I said, hey, I went and knocked on his doors, did my whole routine I had to do to get in there. And I go, hey, this guy's going to pretend he's crazy tonight. And, I'm just warning you in advance.
Heads up.
So, okay. So anyway, Shore Patrol came and got him, took him away. I was a straight reservist at first, and then I re-enlisted. And I re-enlisted at my first reserve meeting. So I was in the Navy for a total of 3 years.
Okay.
And when I get out, I flew back from Clark Air Force Base to Japan and then back to San Diego. And for some reason, I had to go over to NTC, which is the Naval Training Center, which is not the same as the fleet base in San Diego.
I spent 2 weeks at NTC.
So they have a good chow hall there. So I decided, hey, I'm going to go eat while I'm here. I'm in uniform and everything. I might as well get a free meal. So I went in and ate. And as I'm walking out, I see this guy picking up trash. He's in his working uniform and stuff. And I go, hey, dude, don't I know you? And he's like, yeah, we were in the same boot camp company. I go, wow, man. And he didn't have any kind of, rank on his thing or anything. I go, what's the deal, man? He goes, well, I got paid he had some college or something where he got a bonus when he enlisted.
Uh-huh.
They had court-martialed him for pretending that he was insane, and they said that they were making him that he was still in the service. He was still an E1.
Right.
They were taking half of his pay every month, and he said that he had like another month's payment to go, and then as soon as he paid back the bonus, they were going to let him out of the service. I said, so what have you been doing this whole entire time? And he goes, picking up trash. And I says, and you live in a restricted man's barracks? And he goes, yep. I said, oh my God, man, that's like a prison sentence. Kind of made me feel bad I ratted him out, but they would have figured it out anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those military psychiatrists are really good at detecting crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a guy on the ship pulled the same thing. He started barking like a dog. And nobody ratted him out. They just realized what he was up to. It's like,
We
ain't
had
gonna
one
get away
guy.
with this.
We had one guy when I was in Korea. He was a big corn-fed Midwestern boy. Pretty much lived a sheltered life, and he got stationed at Minot, North Dakota for his first year, and then they sent him over to Korea. Well, needless to say, like I said, he's big corn-fed. He's a bodybuilder, big, huge dude. And when he first got there, all he wanted to do was go to the gym, and he soon realized that getting into the gym on our base is really tough to do because it's packed. It's all those married guys who don't want to cheat on their wives because it's really easy to do over there.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Yeah, so he started coming downtown. He fell in love with one of the local bar girls and wanted to marry her and bring her home, but his dad was a racist. He was in the KKK, and he doesn't know what to do, so he started drinking real heavily, which, again, is really easy to do there. And long story short, he went AWOL to go be with her. And it's like, oh, Christ. Before that happened, when he was drinking heavy, he was showing up to work late. And so his boss said, okay, I'm going to put you on barracks restriction for a month. He goes, you got to break that habit. And he just, no. I want to go see her. He's like, look, your girlfriend is a bar hook. Okay, she sucks cocks for a living. No, she wouldn't do that. He goes, okay, you go downtown tonight. He went downtown. He saw the girl. His boss walks up. He's like, hey, Nami. She goes, hi, Bristia. Want to come home with me? Okay. Took her home. He goes, see? Now go back to the barracks. And I don't know whether he did or not, but, just to prove to him, yes, this is her job. And that's when he went AWOL. And my chief of security police comes down one night. He'd come down and he'd drink with us, not all the time, but often enough. Okay, so he goes, you think you could find this guy? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's going to cost you money? I said, yeah, probably about $50. So he pulls out 2 20s and a 10. And I basically paid Nami for a night of her services. And I said, take me to him. And she took me to her sister's place, and there he was, and he drunk as shit. And he is a big, big boy, too. So I managed to talk him back to the base. Yes, he did get in trouble, but it was a lot less than if OSI came out and picked him up. Don't forget, South Korea is still at war with North Korea.
Right. It was one of those deals where it was like he turned himself in.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what ended up happening to him is he got a general under honorable conditions discharge, one that can be upgraded if he keeps his nose out of trouble for 6 months. He got that he got busted down to E1 too, but that's a lot better than spending time in Leavenworth.
Yeah.
Which is what would have happened to him, because like I said, we're still in a war zone technically. You don't go AWOL in a war zone.
My oldest brother decided that he wanted to enlist during Vietnam, like 1969, 1970, somewhere around that. And he had heard that if him and his buddy joined in on the buddy system, that since they were joining, they wouldn't have to go to Vietnam. And
they'll just send you to Vietnam together.
Yeah. Well, it turned out his buddy didn't even make it in. Basically, they were going through the process of going in, and his buddy got booted out for medical reasons. I forget what his medical problem was, but then my brother ended up in there, and he made it through boot camp, and he was going to some AIT, Advanced Individual Training.
Mm-hmm.
And he come home one weekend, and he decided he wasn't going to go back. And we found out later because he found out he was going to get shipped over to Vietnam. And my dad told him, because he was 17 when he wanted to join, my dad told him, he says, hey, you don't want to join the service during a war. You know, it's just stupid. And no, I want to go. And he just got all drugged up and shit. And eventually they caught him. And they told him that, you can, they sent him to drug rehab, and they told him, I said, okay, you can go back, and you're going to have to make up the time that you were gone, but you can go back and you can, go back to being in the service and stuff. Either that or you're going to go to the stockade. And he chose the stockade in a dishonorable discharge. He was lucky he didn't get charged with desertion. And,
Right.
Later he ends up getting a, because when they forgave all the draft dodgers and everything, he ended up getting a general instead of his, he got upgraded. He no longer had a dishonorable discharge.
Yeah, dishonorable.
Since he was a Vietnam era veteran, he gets VA, services and bullshit like that. And I did 3 years in the Navy. I didn't go into it because I'm a patriotic American or anything. I figured it was a good career move. I could get a decent job and shit, and then didn't work out for him, but no big deal. But one day he had the fucking nerve to tell me that he's more of a veteran than I am, and I beat the living fucking bitch.
Oh.
He was going around to these places. I haven't spoken to my brother in over 10 years. And he was going around to these places that they do the stand, I think it's called stand down or something, where they come in and they offer all these veterans, help doing this, that, and the other. It's not through the VA. It's like a charity thing. And these people say, your brother's always the first guy in line when it comes to that stuff. And he had all these people bullshitted that he was he never really told them any war stories or anything, but they knew that he was the guy had checked on him, and he knew he was a Vietnam era veteran, and he qualified for this, that, and the other. And when I told him the true story about my brother's service and shit, he's going, that motherfucker better not ever show his face around here again. I'm going to tell him I told you, so I doubt you'll ever see him again. But God, and he tells people all kind of these bullshit stories and stuff. It's like, man, why do you do that? I says, come on, you did what you did. You decided you didn't want to go over there, and you did what you did. I mean, fuck, own up to it. Yeah, fuck that. I didn't want to go over there and get killed, so I hauled ass.
When I first heard, it was Clinton who forgave all the draft dodgers, right?
I think Carter started the ball rolling, and then Clinton, yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't think it was a great idea at the time, but when that stuff happened, I was much younger than I am now.
Right.
And for people who actually did develop problems, I'm just glad that now there's a place for them that they can go get help. But I'm still very worried about, people such as your brother.
He's a worthless piece of shit. He sponges off his daughter. He lives in her basement. And whenever I talk to her, she goes, I'd like to move out of here one day and not tell you.
Bye, Amanda. Sorry about that. I just wanted to say goodbye to Amanda before she.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, got her.
Bye, Amanda. Thank you for stopping in.
Bye.
Bye, Amanda. Good hearing from you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a lot of military in my family. My grandpa was in the army, but I'm not sure exactly how they worded him being discharged. He was in his barn, and hammering in some nails. One of them big, we call them penny nails that are huge nails. He hit it just right, and it flew right into his eye.
Ooh.
He lost his eye, so he had to get out of the army. I'm not sure how they medical discharge.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't. And then I had my dad was in Vietnam in the army. I think his brothers were in the army, but I'm not sure. Then I had my ex-husband. His dad was in the Air Force. My ex-husband was in the Air Force. One of his brothers and one of his sisters were in the Air Force. And I know his brother served 30 years. And then I have my son who is in the Army. So I've got a lot of them around me.
Well, I have a relative that actually died on the USS Arizona. And I did not know that until I actually went to the Arizona Memorial. And I saw its name and I went, holy shit. So I have a relative that died on this thing. And I used to go around telling people that I was a reincarnated person that died on the Arizona. And I would tell this outlandish story. And they say, you really believe that? No, fuck no. I just made it up. But when I saw his name, I was like, holy shit. And then I looked into it and he was a fairly close relative and stuff. I was like, damn. But my dad went in. My dad was too young to serve in World War II, but he managed to get in and out of the service in between World War II and the Korean War. So
my dad went in the same time Elvis did, right after Korea and right before Vietnam.
Yeah. My dad, he came from a kind of a broken home, and I won't get into the whole story of his terrible life, but he wanted to get away from his dad so bad he would have done anything. Matter of fact, he was up until he joined the service. He said he was riding the rails, but when he got out of the service, man, he started buying houses and shit, and then he got a job with one of the big aircraft places, which it's Boeing now, but they were bought out by Rockwell years ago, but they were the ones that made like the XB-70 and shit, the North American Aviation. And he had a good job there and everything, man. But yeah, he'd tell me stories about he was stationed in Hawaii. He was a signalman, and he was stationed in Hawaii. And he said how he was a pool hustler, and that's how he got all those houses, because he was a pool hustler. Made a whole bunch of money when he was in the service.
Yeah,
it's one way to do it.
Whenever go ahead.
I've been on almost 3 hours and just about ready for dinner here, so I'm gonna have to cut this. I want to thank everybody for coming. This is pretty good.
I didn't realize we had a celebrity on the panel there. Is that Dak Shepard I see?
Who, me?
It is.
Of course, I'm a celebrity. I'm Nails from the WWE.
Yeah, I got claimed one time by Vince McMahon for some clip I put in my video. I don't like them anymore.
Todd,
you got a copyright strike or something?
Fun.
Yeah, Vince McMahon, the WWE, copyright struck one of my videos and took it down. I had a 7-second clip in there.
Huh.
I won that copyright strike because you can use it for commentary. I was using that clip for commentary on the video I was making. Their lawyers bought it and let me put it back up.
Cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have not lost a claim yet. I got three or four pending. I got 3 pending right now from PayPal Patty.
Oh,
well, old Nails here, the avatar that I'm using, he's one of he would be one of Vince McMahon's enemies, but he did Vince McMahon a huge favor at one time he had another guy watch the door, and he went into Vince McMahon's office and fucking told him that he wanted a bunch of money and beat the crap out of him. And this guy Nails, he's a big guy, man. He was like the size of the Undertaker. And he ended up leaving the WWE and everything. And then years later, he had such a hatred for Vince McMahon that he testified in his steroid trial, but it backfired on the prosecution because the defense lawyer says, "Now why don't you tell us why you really don't like Vince McMahon?" And then he just nutted up and told him all this shit, and then that kind of swung the case. It's like the people that are testifying against Vince McMahon just don't like him. And his star witness that was going to be Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan says, yeah, Vince McMahon knew that there was steroids going on in the WWF at the time, but I can't say that he actually ever encouraged me to take them or he ever supplied them or any of that. And they thought that was the big case winner. That was going to win him the case, get him convicted. And
don't forget, Tony wants to go eat dinner.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, anytime you want to go.
I think this will get more popular as I do it every Monday. So, but it was great having you guys. Love the story.
I love that you let me get up.
Sure, anybody can come up anytime when I'm on.
Thanks.
All right, guys. You all have a wonderful night. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.